captain being a part of it. And he was just explaining to me the club, what it's about. I wanted to get a feel and a vibe for it, so asking him questions just about it to make sure my decision was right. But at the moment he started speaking and talking about the way it is and how the group is.
He's also described Chelsea as the biggest club in London. Now, Donald Trump apparently wants to nominate Gianni Infantino to be the Secretary General of the United Nations. According to the New York Post, Trump believes Infantino is respected by everyone around the world. Manchester United have been accused of treating fans like suspects. The club said to have sent season ticket holders emails suggesting they may have been involved in ticket touting. Some fans have even had accounts suspended. A collective statement on behalf of fan groups criticised the apparent ban first, investigate later policy. Andoni Iraola has admitted Liverpool are a little short of defensive options.
With the centre-back, with the right-back situations in terms of defensive depth, we are, I think, very thin right now, so I think it's a solution that we are trying to find.
He and his squad are in the US for a pre-season tournament. He's refused to say how many signings fans can expect. Meanwhile, sticking with the transfer market, it's our understanding Crescenzio Somerville's preference is a move to Roma. West Ham have already agreed a £65 million fee with Al Hilal, who set up a medical. But it's also our understanding Roma sent a private jet to London yesterday to pick Somerville up, but he never showed. And the former Australia cricketer David Warner has pleaded guilty to drink driving in Sydney. He's facing a minimum 6 months disqualified from driving and a fine of over £1,000. Get more at talkSPORT.com.
talkSPORT News.
Single bus fares in England will be capped at £2 from January and inflation eased in June. Amelia's back at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Sort your new tyres this summer at a time that suits you best from the comfort of your home or work 7 days a week with our mobile tyre fitting service. Conditions apply.
Mostly dry with sunny spells, especially warm in central and southern areas, cloudier and cooler across northern Scotland and parts of Northern Ireland with some light rain.
Anthony Joshua is on the road to destiny. But first, there is danger. Prenga, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. And AJ knows, one moment, one mistake, one punch will change history. AJ.
Hello there and good morning to you. I'm Alex Crook alongside the Peterborough United owner and chairman Darragh MacAnthony. So, Chelsea have confirmed the signing of Morgan Rogers. John Stones could soon follow him to Stamford Bridge. Do Blueco actually deserve some credit for changing the way they operate in the market? Is the Americanisation of football fully complete following this summer's World Cup? Darragh's got plenty to say on that. And with Arsenal interested in Bruno Guimaraes, it's looking like another tough summer at St James's Park. How does a chairman convince their manager to stick with a project seemingly falling apart? We'll also get the latest from the world of golf with Bryson DeChambeau threatening to get his mate Donald Trump involved. Plus, there's been another big blow for Liv. All of that, and we'll find out what Darragh would do with Thomas Tuchel if he was in charge of the FA. And we'll be putting our bids together for the FIFA presidency with Gianni Infantino under pressure. This is Alex Crook and Darragh MacAnthony, and we're live right here on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Yes, very good morning to you. Darragh MacAnthony is alongside me in the studio right the way through until 1 o'clock. How you doing?
Mr. Viagra for ratings is back. Yeah, all good. You know, Uncle Rupert came on, doubled the pay bill, so happy to be here.
And we've got you all the way through until Friday afternoon, haven't we?
I think you do, yeah. A couple of days. A few days this week, a few days next week.
I think I might be knackered by the end of the week, if I'm not already after 43 days in the States.
Why don't you tell everyone what you texted me last night? What did you say? Go easy on me. Is that what you said?
Be nice.
Be nice. You're fearful. I'm always nice.
After getting key-owned on Monday, it was a nice break having Kev Nolan in the studio.
You did say you wanted a nut, Karen, yeah, but you wouldn't say that on air, so I'll say it for you. So, yeah. He does that to people.
So you've been back here during the World Cup, even though you usually base yourself in America?
Well, I obviously live in America, but every summer with my family, we leave there at the end of May. Kids are back from college. We go to the UK for a week. My wife sees our family, but she's British. Then we go to Dubai for a few weeks holiday. And then I come back for pre-season because we obviously had camp. We were in Spain last week. So I didn't, I was actually offered money to work during the World Cup by various media outlets and stuff, but because my kids now gone to college and I travel a lot, I don't see them. So those 3 weeks for me are like, you know, the most important thing in June, as much as I love football.
Yeah, we'll get into your views on some of the
moaning,
some of the
British
reports,
media
some of the
about my
reporting.
wonderful country I live in that you just said you want to move to. Yeah.
Well, listen, you didn't. You won't find any videos of me.
It's exhausted me.
America,
it's exhausted me listening to it and reading it and whatever. Yeah.
But the World Cup in general, you think it was a
phenomenal
success?
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Nobody does things better than America. You know, my kids, my wife are all American citizens. I'm a US resident. Best place in the world. And I thought it was an absolute success, yeah. Bar all the, you know, the drama, the nonsense, the whatever else. From people I've spoke to who live there, friends, family, whatever else, you know, forget about the British media saying it has been an economic success, a local success. I think for fans who had this preconceived notion, probably watching BBC every night of the week about what America's like, when they've got there and they've actually spent time in the States, they've seen what I see, why I bring my kids up there, why I live there. It's an amazing place.
Yeah, and so we'll get more on that later in the programme. Let's start with this big story coming out of Chelsea overnight. They're then confirming the £117 million signing of Morgan Rogers. That is a British record fee. Let's hear from the new man at Stamford Bridge. He's spoken to Chelsea's in-house media channel and was asked why he chose the move to Stamford Bridge.
I don't think it needs to be, much more needs to be said really. The size of the club, the stature, I think, the progression and the way the club wants to go and how it wants to move forward, it's something that I want to be a part of. And yeah, I see myself fitting in there nicely, and hopefully it can be a positive experience of moving forward together as a club. So yeah, I'm really excited, and I think it was just perfect for me.
Do you know the thing that blows my mind about this deal most, Darragh? He was on loan, Morgan Rogers, from Manchester City at Bournemouth when Bournemouth were in the Championship.
We played him in our final. We won promotion a few years ago during COVID.
Yeah.
And we came back from 3-1 down against Lincoln. He was in the Lincoln team against us when we won promotion. And you wouldn't have noticed him that day.
Well, Bournemouth actually had the option to sign him permanently for £8 million. They didn't take up the option, mainly because Scott Parker pretty much refused to pick him that season.
Not shocked about Scott Parker doing that, but fair play to Middlesbrough. Look,
but how would you be feeling if you're Bournemouth now? No, had a player for £8 million. He's now the most expensive player in the country.
Sick to your stomach. Look, every club has a story like that, you know, where you let a player go and you whatever else. But you know what's fascinating is, and it's brilliant to see. It just shows you see a lot of 18, 19-year-olds come on loan lower leagues.
Yeah,
and a lot of people and fans will go, "What's that all about?" But to see him rebuild his career in that way, when I say rebuild, probably didn't have the best loans, did okay.
Yeah,
but you'd never think he's going to be £100 million player or break records. And I look at it and go, he's what, 23, 24. Whoever ran that Man City academy, where him, Cole Palmer, all these players have come from, deserves some sort of a Hall of Fame award. Wow, have they produced some talented big players.
And in terms of Chelsea, their model since Blueco came in has been...
I've defended the owners a little bit.
Yeah, but it's been about signing players with sell-on potential.
Yep.
Now they're looking, it seems, for more Premier League proven players, not just Morgan Rogers, maybe Maxence Lacroix on his way from Palace
John
as well as for John Stones. Do they deserve credit for pivoting, having finished so far down the table last season?
Yeah, they had a disastrous second half of the season last year with everything with the manager leaving and then the recruitment they brought in of Rosenior. I've always defended them that, you know, the new owners, they're 3-4 years in the job. That's still relatively new. They've won a couple of trophies. They haven't quite got it right. Yes, they love a signing. You have to pivot. You can't do the same thing over and over. It's a definition of insanity. So they've probably looked at it and gone, you know what? Maybe we did have a couple of those older heads back there, particularly at the back. We might have been a better team. And they've looked at the explosiveness up front. They're stacked in every department up there. And then I read, obviously, they're looking at Alex Scott as well. I'm thinking this is the Harlem Globetrotters with the amount of talent they're trying to put in their team. So I think Rodgers is a good signing for them. I know some people think the fee is inflated. When you sign a 23-year-old for that kind of money, when you leverage it out over 10 years with his salary, it's probably 15, 18 million a year in total. So for an England international player that ilk who hasn't hit his prime or his peak, that's the going market rate.
And what do you see Chelsea's ambitions for this season? Because we were talking just before we
title challenge.
Really, you go
with Alonso? Yeah, I really rate Alonso. I know the Madrid
didn't work out. Real Madrid.
Yeah, it went sour, but I still think if they'd stuck with him, Madrid would have finished better than they did. You know, under Arbeloa. So I think Alonso's that good, and I think he's a
your Liverpool bias.
No, because I don't necessarily think he was a fit for Liverpool because of the style of play and the players, because styles and formations are important when you're recruiting. I think what he could do at Chelsea. And I think there is buy-in when he took the job that you're going to have to sign a couple of experienced players. We'll still sign young talent. But I think he'll want to win a title. Did anyone think he was going to go in Germany in his first main job and go unbeaten all season and win the league from Bayern Munich? No. So I do fancy Chelsea to be up there. It's wide open this season, but I think Chelsea will be up there.
I mean, we would expect 5 Champions League places again.
Yes.
Because you would expect English teams to prosper in Europe. It looks like 6 clubs competing for those 5 spaces. The champions are Arsenal, Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, United. And I put Tottenham in the mix as well.
Yeah, because of the manager. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And there might be some dark horses in there as well. You never know. The beauty about the Premier League, you saw it last year with Brentford, Brighton, all these clubs that were still in with a shout of getting Champions League football. It is wide open. It's one of the most competitive leagues in the world now. And as a Liverpool fan, I'm like, I'd love to see us challenge for the title. I can see Arsenal winning it again. It depends how fatigued and tired some of their players are. That might be the kick in, the second season syndrome, and the fact a lot of them played 60, 70 games.
Well, Declan Rice looked out on his feet.
Yeah, and Saka obviously wasn't available for every game. But obviously, if the Man City manager, and I'm not sure about him, if he hits the floor running with the talent, the squad depth, they should, in theory, win the league. But don't sleep on Alonso.
And what about Liverpool? I mean, we're jumping around a bit here, but it's no secret you're a massive Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
Were you...
Didn't want to fire the manager.
On a slot?
No, I can understand why they did it. I was saying constantly when I was doing media stuff that I thought you won a title, it's a bit too early for this, but the football was dire. It was going sour. He had injuries, he had issues. He looked like a man lost probably in those, particularly at home, the last 3 or 4 home games. So it's probably the right move. Areola I like. Phenomenal what he's done at Bournemouth. I was lucky to speak to his assistant manager last summer for an hour to get an in-depth analysis on how do Premier League managers train and coach and the sports science stuff during the week. My sports scientist asked me to do it because we were ringing different clubs. I think it's always...
Is that Tommy Elphick you spoke to?
Correct. Yeah. And I had a great chat with him. He gave me like an hour and 20 minutes of his time, told me about their schedule, how they did it, and Areola, how he basically treats training sessions like matches. It's full on, full tilt. And then you watch...
Would that be an issue at Liverpool, though?
Depending on how the sports science and the injuries and whatever else. No, because Klopp did that. I mean, Klopp ran it hard, didn't he? It was the rock and roll football. And yes, their legs fell off after 2 or 3 years. As long as you refresh every 3 years, you're fine. I think he's 3 players short of competing for the title. I think they've got injuries in key areas. It's going to be a problem. Obviously, last year we saw what happened with Salah. We saw the fall off. I think if they can get 2 or 3 good signings in, they'll be up there. And I think he's a manager that the football's going to be entertaining. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And in terms of Liverpool's ambitions, then you just mentioned maybe they're short for the title.
No, they've always got to compete for the title. Look, we just won a title a year ago. So,
won many in the Premier League era, though.
No, I understand that. And, dig. I get that, but it's been, since prehistoric times, since your beloved United won a title or even been close. And we have won a couple of them since you last won one. So I would say Liverpool's ambition should always be to compete for titles, no matter who the manager is. I think if Isak looks like the Isak at the World Cup, and that really irritated me when I saw him playing so well at the World Cup, if he looks like that guy who can control the ball, who can press, who can hold the ball, I think we sign a winger on the right to replace Salah, we've got a chance.
A few messages coming in already on this Wednesday morning. Morning, gentlemen. Chelsea have now spent over 300 million on Man City Academy players, whether that be directly or from other clubs after they've left. That's from David, the Blue Trucker. Alex, please ask Darragh about his ex-player, Emmanuel Fernandez at Rangers. This boy will be a £20 million plus player
on the rest
very soon, says Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember everyone laughing at me last year. My ex-manager didn't rate him, never played him more than 5 games at a time, and we obviously sold him for a good amount of money, and everyone laughed at that when we did that at the time, and he's had to be fair to the manager who's just left Rangers, what a phenomenal, because Russell Martin couldn't get the tune out of him. It was basically the new manager, and he's a 6'6" colossus. He's easily, in today's market, a £25 million plus centre-half, easily. Fair play to Rangers. They saw what everyone else didn't see, and the previous recruitment guy did the deal with us, and we obviously always get good fees for our young players. Yeah. And of course we stand to make more from sell-ons, but I do think he could play at any level now because of his sheer physicality. Not to mention he scores 5 or 6 goals a season.
Darragh MacAnthony with us right the way through until 1 o'clock. Get your calls coming in. Chelsea fans, your owners deserve praise for the way they've changed their recruitment model this summer. £117 million. Morgan Rogers through the door. John Stones and or Maxence Lacroix potentially joining him as well. 0371722 3344. You are listening to Alex Crook and Darragh MacAnthony in for White and Jordan on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go.
there is a line
Oh, wow.
that you should not overstep, and they overstepped it communally numerous times.
Got to be a long ban.
Yeah.
Jeff, if you look at it, if you watch it back 5 or 6 times, Paredes, what we say, on Garcia, he grabs his neck, and the way Garcia's neck, after the game, Garcia's neck jolts. That's assault.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Like, it's assault.
Like you, Stuart Pearce believes that the Argentinian midfielder needs an incredibly strong punishment.
Oh.
But you've got to say, and just to back up exactly what you've just said there, sometimes in life and in football, what goes round comes round. And that's exactly what's happened to Argentina today. And I'm sure FIFA will see the punch that was thrown at the end of the game, and obviously they were quite happy to extend a 6-game ban for a Qatari player. And I'm sure when they see a punch like that, it'll probably warranty a 20-game ban. I'm sure FIFA will be right on top of this, Aid.
Yeah. Well, they should be, because something's got to be done to stop.
You want to feel
like
safe on the pitch, don't you, Jeff? Do you know what I mean? You can't let the punishment has to be that big that no one ever does that.
It is assault. You've got it absolutely.
Anthony Joshua is on the road to destiny. But first, there is danger. Prenga, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. And AJ knows, one moment, one mistake, one punch will change history. AJ is back. But there is danger before destiny.
I'm the bad guy.
And the yellow card is shown, and he's off. Enzo Fernandez dismissed. Second yellow card. He protests his innocence, but at the moment he is the third Argentinian player to be sent off in a World Cup final.
I'm just thoroughly embarrassed that he plays for my club. It's just disgraceful. I want him gone.
You only keep him if he really wants to stay.
The happiest I've been is Enzo Fernandez getting sent off.
I'd shut up, be quiet, and help your team get back into the Champions League. Yes, Enzo Fernandez, the man everybody seemingly loves to hate, sent off in that World Cup final as Argentina lost to Spain in extra time. We're asking the question, Chelsea fans, do you still want Enzo Fernandez at your club, or is now the time to cash in? 03717 22 33 44. Got Derek, the Liverpool fan, Darragh, having a bit of a pop at me. Can you remind Crookie that football didn't start in 1992 in the Premier League? We have 20 titles and 6 European Cups.
He's absolutely.
And you have now won more Premier League titles than Leicester and Blackburn, I think I'm right.
You're very funny there, but we're still the most successful club in the world, aren't we, from the UK?
Talk to him about Enzo Fernandez.
Because
you heard a Chelsea fan there saying he wants him out of his club. There's a few, I think, would share that sentiment, but you're not having it.
No, what? He's one of the best players in the Premier League. I've just said to you, you'd have him at United, and I get it. It's the S-housery of it all. I can't say the word on air, obviously, but he's the type of player a lot of teams would like to have. I wouldn't mind him at Liverpool. Look, McAllister's legs haven't been the best last year. I'd take him all day long. But I think he wants to go to Spain, doesn't he?
Wants to go to Madrid.
You're not going to look. Argentina irritated the life out of everybody, me included. By the way, watching the England game, watching the final. I get it. It's the style. It's the way they are. You want to go and knock a load of their players out yourself, but that's football. It's done now. It's over. He's going to come back to Chelsea. He's one of their best players. He's very important for what they do in the Premier League. So, as an owner, the question was asked me, what would you do as an owner? I'd be like, get on with your job and go win us a Premier League title.
And actually, the fact he's going to be booed probably at every away ground in the country might just fire him up.
Yeah, that's not going to bother a guy like him. Have you seen him? Let me ask you a question. If you were going to war and you needed to pick a couple of footballers to go with you in that alleyway, you'd take him with you, wouldn't you? He's that type. He's aggressive.
As long as he can keep himself on the pitch. I mean, the second challenge that he made to get a red card was brain dead.
Listen, ridiculous. And we've seen that. We've seen it from England players in the past getting sent off. Beckham, all those players, the stupidity, the things they've done. And you're absolutely right. And lots of their players could have. The other fella should have been sent off 3 times.
And no action, I think I'm right in saying, against the Raiders after what happened after the game. I mean, that is criminal, isn't it?
He's a lunatic, he is. But what Fernandez did, first of all, getting it for dissent, and then obviously for the tackle. He's trying to get there. But look, these things happen, and you just hope they don't happen on the biggest stage of them all, and they did.
Hugh has got in touch on WhatsApp. He said, if Enzo thinks he'll get a frosty reception here, imagine what it'll be like in Spain. I'd like him to stay. That's a fair point. Adam's a Chelsea fan. He's called 03717 223344. Fernandes in or Fernandes out?
Fernandes in all day long. Fernandes in all day long. They said there were more chances of me wanting Fernandes out before that than there is now. Because, I mean, you need a player like that. You need a player like that in the dressing room. You need a player like that on the pitch. Yeah, fair enough, you make mistakes. I mean, it happens. But I'm fully backing him. I'm fully backing Fernandes in.
I wonder if John agrees with that as well. He's also called the programme. John, are you with Adam that Fernandes should stay? In fact, let's bring in Nick, the Chelsea fan. Sorry, Nick.
How are you?
Yeah, we've got you loud and clear.
Yeah, I would. I'd separate what happened in the World Cup from my club. So, if he wants to stay, I'd keep him. He's a really good player. He plays well for us. Really don't like what he did in the World Cup. If he wants to stay, keep him. If he wants to go, like any player that wants to go, let him go. But I would, 100%. We need experienced players with a new manager. We need continuity. So, do I like what he did? No. Do I think he's going to get loads of stick wherever he goes? Maybe some at Stamford Bridge? Yes. But if he wants to stay, get your head down and play for us. That's what I think.
And how do you feel about, obviously, Alonso coming in as manager? Couple of signings so far. You get John Stones in the building. You feel good about things for this season?
I feel that after 4 years or 4.5 years of trial and error by American owners, that at last they're appointing a manager, not a coach. The only thing I would say is that we need to bring in some experience. So we bring in someone like John Stones with the experience he's got on a free. And also we don't need I hate to say it, but fairly average sporting directors. We need a couple of really good quality sporting directors. But yeah, Morgan Rogers, really exciting to get Alonso. And at last we've got a manager, not a coach. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this season.
Where does Morgan Rogers play in the 11?
I think he's been told he's going to play off the left.
Is he?
I believe so.
Okay.
Interesting to see how that works with Cole Palmer. But if you listen to what Morgan Rogers said yesterday, Cole Palmer was constantly on the phone.
They're close.
Leading with
so
him to
they're going to play with 2 10s maybe? I mean, is there a way you can see that happening?
Potentially.
A lot of teams nowadays, you watch it.
How would you feel about that, by the way? If you were Aston Villa chairman and basically Morgan Rogers has admitted he was tapped up by Cole Palmer, would that annoy you a little bit? I guess the £117 million would make it up.
Look, no, the Aston Villa owners are richer than the Chelsea owners. Let's talk facts here. I think they are. They're very wealthy. What they've done with Emery is unbelievable. But how would I feel? Look, you're angry for a minute, and then you get the best fee you can. But let's not kid ourselves. Tapping up happens up all over the game. Yeah. It's happened to us this summer with some of our best players. It just happens. I'm with my players last week in Spain. They're telling me about the clubs that have spoken to them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Is it just accepted now?
It's accepted because what are you going to do? Are you going to go and bitch and cry? Because
presumably you've done it as well.
Do you want me to admit on air that I've tapped up players over 20 years and owning football? No comment. As Barry Fry, probably. Sorry, Bazza.
Let's bring in John, the Chelsea fan. John, are you in favour of keeping Enzo Fernandes at the club?
Morning, Jake, the show. I'd keep him personally because last season his output was great. 15 goals, 7 assists. He had a decent World Cup apart from the debacle in the final. He scored against Egypt, scored against England, obviously. I would personally keep him, but I think he might have burned his bridges at Stamford Bridge by me, and he wanted to come out saying he wanted to go to Madrid. Same happened with Courtois about 5 seasons ago. I think he might have burned his bridges. So I'm in favour of keeping him.
Does any player burn their bridges when they talk about wanting to go to Real Madrid? I mean, obviously it's, look, I'm a Liverpool guy. Alex is a Man United guy. We've all lost players to the big, Barcelona, Real Madrid. And I guess, burning bridges sounds strong. So because it is the biggest club in the world, probably bar none.
Yeah, true. I get what you're saying, but I just think that I know the Chelsea fan base. It's just the way that they are. I personally would keep him. I think Enzo Fernandes is a great player under the right manager, and I think under Alonso, I think he could blossom under Alonso. But if he decides to go, we've got a replacement in Valentin Barco that we just signed from Strasbourg. So if he goes, he goes. If he stays, he stays. My personal opinion is I keep him. I think his output was good last season. He was arguably our player of the year last year.
John, cheers for the call. What does he say about Enzo Fernandes and his statement reacting to that World Cup final defeat? He didn't actually directly reference the red card. This is what he said. As time goes by, you realise there's something much bigger than just a result. For years, this group has represented the team in the best possible way. It teaches that competing isn't just about winning. It's about giving your all for the jersey and never giving up. It's been a privilege to be a part of the group that has always stepped up, competed at the highest level, and defended these colours with pride, humility, and commitment.
Did he say that live or was that written?
It was a written statement.
Okay. So
should he not have apologised for? I mean, his red card cost them any chance of winning the game.
They weren't winning that game. We all
they might have limped to a penalty shootout.
No, I don't think so. We all watched that match. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I never thought anyone but Spain was winning that game. Didn't matter if it was the last minute. That was Spain throughout the whole World Cup, a la Portugal, last minute of the game. So, of course, it didn't help. I look at it and go, yeah, he's made a massive mistake on the biggest stage of all. So, should he have put something in there about, look, I let my teammates down, myself down, and I'm going to learn from that? Probably. But then again, his PR people who helped him write it probably said, let's veer away from that.
It's also interesting how the Argentinian fans view Fernandes as still some kind of hero when you go back to Beckham, France 98, and the way that he was vilified by this country's press.
It's different here, though, isn't it? Because the press here are different, and no disrespect to the British press, but like, you know, if you look at the Argentinian press and all that things coming out of, you know, Argentina, they don't see anything wrong with the behaviour. They don't see anything wrong with how Argentina act. They're pretty much solidified. They're unified. And
is that a cultural thing as well?
I think it's a cultural thing. I think it's tribalism. It's culture. It's everything. You go to different countries. Everyone's the same. Or everyone's different, should I say. So I think the British media has softened over the years. You know, I was thinking about Tuchel during the World Cup and how soft the British media had been on him compared to, you go back to El Tel, you go back to Bobby Robson, you go back to Graham Taylor. I mean, they hounded those managers. Do you know what I mean? I mean, hounded them. And I see what with Tuchel, and I'm thinking to myself, my God, it's like a pass around the wet wipes to wipe your mouth. It was nauseating, a few lot about him.
Not me. Alonso going to Chelsea to play the same system formation as Amorim did at United. Fascinating to see if he can make it work in the Prem. That's from Simon. I think actually he might be a bit more tactically versatile than you think.
After Madrid, I think so. Yeah. I think it was perfect for Chelsea what happened to him at Madrid.
Yeah. Hey guys, great show as always. As a Liverpool fan, I don't really have a dog in the fight, but in my opinion, after his antics at the last World Cup with the racist songs he was singing about the French, he should be banned from football altogether. That is Mike the Trucker from Bedford on Enzo Fernandez. Keep them coming. 03717 22 33 44.
Keep calling in.
Coming up
some rooks.
Coming up in the next part of the programme, Darragh has plenty to say about how some in the British media represent the US.
The majority.
What does the future hold for Rashford? My understanding is that he ideally would still like to leave United, still not particularly happy with the hierarchy there over the circumstances of his departure this time last year. And while there is a slim chance that Michael Carrick reintegrates him into his first team squad, I think United ideally would like to sell as well. In my notebook on the talkSPORT website today, I talk about Fenerbahce in Turkey being interested, but Rashford doesn't seem particularly keen on that move. It all feels a little bit like limbo, Kev.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think it was the same last year, and you know, he come up trumps with the Barcelona move. Where did that come from last season? And you think, oh, go there, and then you'd have the season. And was he up and down? You sort of got mixed reviews, didn't you, from there, and whether they were going to then, you know, take him on this year and sign him. But I think probably the biggest block and the stumbling block for himself is the actual money they're going to have to give him. You know, and I think that's the problem. Do Man United want to go, you know, okay, we'll let him leave, but, you know, and take a hit on his wages and pay half of his wages so they can get him out. I think that's what they probably had to do in the last couple of seasons when he went to Villa and now Barcelona. So, yeah, it's all a bit of a mess, isn't it, considering, you know, being a Manchester boy, you don't really like to see it, but it's all really a bit of a mess, and I don't really see an outcome, and where it's going to get an outcome. I think it's someone's going to have to give, and I don't know which one's going to go first.
Well, they've already given his squad number away because Mateus Cunha took his number 10 shirt last summer.
So well, that says it all from Michael as well, and his squad and his staff and everything else.
talkSPORT News.
A very good morning. You're listening to talkSPORT. Here with the news headlines, I'm Amelia Beltrao. Bus fares will be capped at £2 across England from next year. Andy Burnham's lowered the current £3 ceiling as part of a cost of living package to give the public more breathing room.
This is about the team pulling together across government and addressing the issues that really matter. And he wasn't going to waste time spending months debating these issues. We were going to get on in the first couple of days.
Well, that should have been Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander. It will be funded by moving money away from foreign climate projects. Next, inflation eased a bit to 2.6% last month, down from 2.8% in May. Times Radio's business correspondent Dominic O'Connell explains why.
Largely because diesel prices fell in June on the back of that peace deal that wasn't a peace deal in Iran.
But we are expecting inflation to go up next month. Now, 2 men jailed for the manslaughter of a police officer could be eligible for early release. It's under government measures aimed at tackling overcrowding. Albert Bowers and Jesse Cole were given 13-year terms each in 2020 for PC Andrew Harper's manslaughter. And a new study suggests weight loss drugs could slash hospital admissions linked to alcohol. Medication like Wegovy and Mounjaro mimic hormones to regulate blood sugar and reduce appetite. And it's thought they could also help curb alcohol consumption.
talkSPORT sports headlines with Bostik. For high-performance flooring adhesives that won't let you down, pros trust Bostik.
Morgan Rogers says he wants to bring the best version of himself to Chelsea. Meanwhile, Villa have been urged to get a move on in replacing him. Thomas Moore at 11.
Anthony Joshua is on the road to destiny. But first, there is danger. Prenga, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. And AJ knows, one moment, one mistake, one punch will change history. AJ is back. But there is danger before destiny.
Alex Crook and the Peterborough United owner Darragh MacAnthony here with you until 1 o'clock this afternoon and indeed for the rest of this week. Morning, fellas. I was seriously considering putting a couple of quid on Villa winning the league after last season, but they've gutted themselves. Strange, says Paul in Cumbria. That does seem a little unfair, doesn't it? That Aston Villa, Newcastle to a lesser extent, have ambitions to smash through that ceiling and become at least regulars in the Champions League, and they're having to sell their best players.
You got to give credit to Villa because, obviously a couple of seasons ago they hit the Champions League, and then they had the following year didn't do as well, and then last year obviously hit it again, won the trophy. He's done a phenomenal job, and they will lose their best players. And obviously with all the financial rules and all the issues around it, they would love to spend.
Because you've already mentioned that you actually think Aston Villa's owners have deeper pockets than Chelsea's.
I do. I think the two to
So
one.
how can that be right?
It's down to, and don't take this wrong, Villa fans, it's down to the commercial size of a club. Not the fan size, the commercial size of a club. So, if Villa can get to the stage where they're bringing in 5, 6, 7, 800 million, a la Man United, then obviously they can compete. So what are they got to look at doing? Maybe increase their stadium size, increase obviously the fans, the bums on seats, build a bigger commercial operation. It's going to take time. But what they are at the moment doing right is they're doing everything right. They're putting exciting teams out there. They're a world-class manager. They're winning trophies. They're competing now at the highest level. If they keep knocking on that door and doing all those things, these days of losing their best players will pass.
Yeah. Morning, chaps. Just wanted to say how much I'm enjoying Darragh's insight, knowledge and spiky opinions. Love it. Broadcasting at its best. That's Andy the Brummy, a.k.a. Mrs. MacAnthony.
Very good.
Let's get on to a column in the Times by Martin Samuel. Sorry. Let's get under your skin a bit.
Is this having a go at America again? I haven't read it.
Well, this is what he says. The Americanization of football is already here. Do you seriously believe the mid-half commercial breaks, the halftime shows, the cheesy countdowns, the dynamic pricing is going away just because the World Cup has left these shores? Certainly it won't be another 32 years until the next American World Cup, 2058. Are you crazy? It will be long before that. Now, that's not necessarily having a go at America as a country, which I know has also got under your skin.
Sure.
And
it's having to go at FIFA, I guess, for bringing in those various things.
Yeah.
That's what it's doing.
And I think
I don't disagree.
The big bugbear for me is ticket prices. I was looking at ticket prices for the final.
Sure.
The cheapest ticket, albeit on the day of the final, $7,000 to see arguably the worst World Cup final since the last one on American soil in 1994.
The World Cup final wasn't good, but
the halftime show was naff.
No, I liked it.
Were you in the minority there?
I had no problem.
What did you like about it?
I'm not overreacting like everyone else. It didn't bother me.
The hydration break?
It didn't bother me. The hydration break.
Commercial breaks, weren't they?
Based on what happened in '94 at the World Cup, and Ireland were there, and I remember seeing what it did to us, the humidity. I didn't mind the idea of hydration breaks, not two, maybe one. I didn't love the fact American networks went to ad breaks.
But also hydration breaks in an air-conditioned stadium.
No. What I'm saying to you is, I disagree with that.
Yeah.
If it had been Miami games, if it had been in those hotspot areas where humidity hit ridiculous levels, and then player welfare is at risk, I'm absolutely for hydration breaks. That's not a problem for me. The rest of the stuff he's talking about, what else is he saying?
Countdowns to kick off.
What's the problem? I mean,
again, it's just a bit naff,
no, but
isn't it?
Alex, it's like, at what stage, like, you ask football clubs, the EFL, the Premier League, well, you call it tacky, but you ask clubs now where some of them got cheerleaders out there, some of them are putting on different things, they want to keep fans in stadiums spending money. All people are trying to do is create more entertainment for a younger generation at times. If you'd watched that final game, and it was the most boring game for years, at least there was some entertainment at half-time, because the rest of the game was crap. But the reality...
this love-in between Infantino and Donald Trump?
Yeah, listen, am I an Infantino fan? Absolutely not. I've got no time for him. I'm not on FIFA. Look, there are loads of things about FIFA I'd love to see changed.
So you agree with Martin Samuel fundamentally?
No, because every member of the British press has spent most of the summer before the World Cup slagging it off. You've talked about ticket prices, so let me call you out on that. Was it expensive? Yeah. Was it difficult to go to games and whatever else? 100%, but they sold out most of the games. They're all sold out.
Yeah, but my question to you would be,
let me finish.
They sell out to the right people.
What do you mean the right people? Whoa. What does that mean?
Well, I thought
that's a very dangerous comment. The right people.
I thought the atmosphere was a little bit diluted because you didn't necessarily have genuine football fans. You had tourists.
Okay. Are we now quantifying when you buy a sports ticket, you have to qualify as a fan?
Well, I think it's unfair if you're pricing out the genuine fans.
Hang on. I'm not a chess fan, but I might go to a chess event one day. Does it mean I can't go because I'm not a chess fan by nature? I mean, that's a ridiculous comment you've just made. That
not really. There were
only football fans.
I know a lot of England fans.
You're a Manchester United fan.
Yeah.
Are you telling me everyone that goes there, half of Old Trafford on a match day?
Of course not.
Are die-hard Man United fans? Tottenham.
But I know a lot of England fans who are in the England Travel Club. They've got their caps.
I get it.
And they had to make a financial decision not to attend this World Cup. Is that right?
There's lots of things in my life I couldn't afford, or can't afford at various times.
Oh, not anymore.
No, well, I'm fortunate enough. I worked hard enough not to be in that position. But through my 20s, I looked on with envy that I couldn't do this, and this. Ryder Cup, I've wanted to do that for years. I'm going to go next year. It's going to cost like 50 grand. I couldn't do that 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Yeah. And I get it was too expensive. I would have liked more fans to have had access to tickets. I get that totally. But it sold out. It was a commercial success. No matter what, everyone wants to write about it and bring all the political stuff into it and politicize it. It was a massive success as a World Cup. Probably the most commercially successful World Cup ever.
I don't know if there's any doubt about that.
Right.
The other thing you're annoyed about, as you say, you've referenced it a couple of times, is the way the British press have perceived America.
Yeah.
Not on this station, I would suggest. I think
I listen to a lot of
those of us who were over in New York and Miami and Texas before that, we absolutely embraced it. And we love the American culture. We love the American people.
I spend a lot of time in the UK as I own a club. My kids are half British. But I live in America. My kids live in America. So I get patriotic about the States. I do. We've lived there 20 years. My kids are pretty much American. And all I see is people who'd never been to the States before absolutely ripping the ass out of it before they even got there. What I've seen since is 90% of the people who went can't believe how different it is to how it's been portrayed in the media here before. That's my point. And The Athletic, obviously, for some reason I have a subscription. And 99% of the articles, one guy spontaneously combusting before every game and after every game. And it's just constant negative. And it's like, can we stick to the sport sometimes? Then I listened to Neville and Co. on The Overlap. I was on board getting a train in this morning, and it's called Stick to Football. And you got Ian Wright and everyone else virtue signaling about Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that, America this, Iran that. And it's not, you said it's Stick to Football. That was the name of your show. So just sometimes it's exhausting. My wife felt the same when we were listening to it. We were reading stuff. You'd see stuff on Twitter. At the end of the day, America for me is one of the greatest nations on earth. I'm going to change that. Yeah. You said to me before we came on air, you'd love to move there.
Yeah,
I heard Roy Keane say at the end of The Overlap, he needs a few more quid and he'd move there. That's what.
And I won't lie to you. Before I went, obviously you've got
you had a preconceived notion
situation. You've got
Yeah. You had your preconceived notion.
ICE agents.
All that nonsense. Yeah, carry on.
So there was a bit of
Did you
trepidation.
see loads of that, did you?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what
you
I was
enjoyed
going to say.
yourself?
From day one,
feel safe.
Myself and my producer Ryan, who actually only came back last night, he was the last one standing in New York. We sat at a bar in Dallas, and I love that culture where you sit around a bar and you talk to. But just sat around the bar, and as soon as they find out you're from England, the locals want to talk to you. They want to buy you a drink. Of course. And you get to know them, and you make friends over there.
Yanks are friendly by
And what
nature.
comes across to me, and actually you've got a bit of this, is how proud the American people are of their country and of their specific places. The Texans, for example.
Massive.
And I think we could learn a lot from that.
Florida. I'm from Florida.
Yeah.
Largely
I'm
because these
fiercely proud. So when I see all the stuff written about,
in
you know,
June.
America, Florida, various things by people who have not really been there, spent time there, drives me mad.
Yeah.
Drives me mad. And I just, there's no need for it. Maybe give a balanced reflection. You should write an article for The Athletic and actually put them all right. Now, seriously, because if you read the majority of the articles, it's one tone. What do they say about journalism? Has to be fair and balanced, correct? I don't think a lot of the British press, few of them been wet wipes, is not fair and balanced.
Jason has said, you can't stick to football when the whole tournament was politicised. It's not virtue signalling, it's called having a backbone. Danny Baker says, change the president and people...
Who?
Sorry, change the president and the people who run the country to shout, and I would move there.
Change the president? What, has he ever been there? I mean, it's usual. Donald Trump just provokes everybody in that way. Whether you support him, you don't support him. At the end of the day, I live in the States. It's the greatest place in the world to live, and that's even under his presidency.
Bill, the Fulham fan, says, Crookie's correct. England fans travel around Europe watching qualifiers. They were priced out. The atmosphere at the World Cup final was like a pre-season friendly. I do think that. The atmosphere inside stadium.
Because of the commercial people in there.
Yeah.
I saw a thing on YouTube, people saying, how much do you pay for a ticket? 50 grand, 200 grand, $1 million. Yeah. So I'd have to agree with you there. I'd have to come off my high horse and say a percentage should have been given, particularly for the finals, the knockout stages, to make sure the normal Joe Blogs on the street could go to those games.
Stuart Brenner's also called me a hypocrite. He says, another dump, isn't it?
He told me that before we went on air. Sorry,
dump.
Mrs. Crooks.
Unbelievable. Hi, guys. Talk about how Pickford was slammed all tournament. Ends up the third best goalkeeper at the World Cup. Disgusting media, says Mike.
Who? Disgusting media?
Yeah.
Oh, he agrees with me.
A little bit off topic there when it comes to
media.
Jordan Pickford. Hi, lads. Agree with McAnthony. Went to New York and San Francisco last couple of years. Amazing places.
Love it.
That's from Griff in Kings Lynn.
Love it, Griff. And that's all I say to people is, look, when you have an opinion on something, everyone has them. They're like, you know what. But at the end of the day, see for yourself before you judge.
Yeah, and I think that's fair.
It's always fair.
Despite the fact you got dumped about 3 times in that section. It's 11:15 on Wednesday morning. You're listening to Alex Crook and Darragh MacAnthony in for White and Jordan on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
Got the players, Argentina, to be better than that.
They've got some of the players, but I think they've found a way in this tournament to just keep getting by. They were winning in extra time. They were coming from 2 goals down. They did it round after round. They even did it against us. A goal down. They scored 2 in the last sort of 10 minutes, and they've got over the line again. And I think they thought, right, we're just going to have to keep it going exactly the same way. Let's just try and get over the line. But I've got, as World Cup finals goes, it was one of the worst I think you'll ever see.
Well, what did you make of how they reacted at the end, Argentina? We saw obviously Paredes getting involved. We saw the whole Argentinian team turning their back on Spain when they lifted it. It was just from beginning to end, even after the final whistle went. It was just nasty from Argentina.
Yeah, it was. They've definitely not won any fans over, have they, this tournament?
No.
Argentina. They might be the most hated nation in world football.
I've changed my mind now on Messi and Ronaldo. I was Team Messi for a long, long time.
Back to Ronaldo.
I saw the bit where Cucurella sort of covered his mouth but didn't. And then Messi almost went to the head teacher and was grasping oh, he should get detention.
I'm disappointed, and honestly, man,
You don't need to do that.
I love Leo Messi, right? He is everything I want from a footballer, but that was horrible.
Why did he do that?
I don't know why.
Do that.
It's a World Cup final. I think he's desperate and he's reaching for everything that he possibly can. But you don't need to do that, Leo. Don't sink to those levels. I think Argentina outdid themselves in horribleness. Like what we saw at full time it's as bad as it can get. Like Paredes has fully lost his head, by the way.
Insane, wasn't it?
Completely lost his head.
Anthony Joshua is on the road to destiny. But first, there is danger. Prenga, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. And AJ knows, one moment, one mistake, one punch will change history. AJ is back. But there is danger before destiny.
You're listening to White and Jordan on talkSPORT with me, Alex Crook, and the Peterborough owner, Darragh MacAnthony. We've been debating the whys and wherefores of America hosting this World Cup, and 2038 potentially could be back there as soon as that.
We're back.
Did you see that?
No, but I'm sure Donny will make it happen. President Trump.
Mate, yours?
Well, I'm not saying he's a friend of mine, but I'm just, golf, no thanks to try and shoot him on the golf course every time.
My 29-year-old son from South Wales and his girl moved to Florida 6 months ago. Absolutely love it, living the dream and having the time of their lives. They wish they'd done it years ago. 100% agree with Darragh's view of the US. He's spot on. I was there for 10 days, spoke to local people. My son just finished his Masters at NYU.
Oh, wow.
Going to stay out there with his visa. Finally arrives. Excellent World Cup. Every seat sold out, as people say, for years to attend games. What is the point of having guests and presenters that are not in tune with what comments the producers will allow to be heard by the public? Dumping sections of what people say ruins the listening experience. Just makes me want to
I've just had a row about the dumping.
Well, you do tread a very fine line.
No. I didn't curse, and I've just said it's in my contract. The only dumping that happens is if I curse. And they've dumped there to protect me slagging you off a bit in the States.
Well, on the subject,
I think that's cowardly what they did.
On the subject of dumping, I'm keen to get your views on the England manager Thomas Tuchel, because we had the Hull City owner Arjun Ilakali with us yesterday, and he didn't pull any punches. He didn't pull any punches.
I wouldn't forgive if I had any responsibility, because he made the team, I think, lose the confidence by taking them back. But most importantly, I mean, you don't need to know football in detail that Messi is still in top 5 in the world, dangerous in the last third of the pitch. And if you bring Messi like a last third of the pitch, he did nothing almost last 30 minutes. Then he started showing all his talent and intelligence. And I think it was like suicide. I'm very disappointed. I went to Atlanta. I would like to celebrate the win with British fans, but it didn't happen.
He also said that if he was in charge of the FA, he would fire Thomas Tuchel yesterday, not today. Martin Keown pushed back on that on Monday. We got into a bit of a ruck about it. Your view?
Yeah, Martin's politically correct, but all fair, he'll tell the truth. The England manager, look, I said on my podcast, hardtruthfootball.com, that 2 months ago, before the World Cup, I didn't think the manager was elite. I sat here, listening to Simon Jordan, lots of people keep calling him an elite manager. I didn't see why. I know,
even though he won the Champions League.
Yeah, I get that. Robert Di Matteo won the Champions League. Is he an elite manager? Okay, thanks. My point is that you see some of the decisions he made. You see, whether it was Trent Alexander-Arnold or whatever else, right back, those issues. The only credit I'm going to give him is for Jed Spence and the tournament that Jed Spence have. But I just thought, again, lacking, not an elite manager. What happened in that game against Argentina was an absolute disgrace. It was a choke job. The biggest choke job I've seen from apparently an elite world-class manager ever. You think Jurgen Klopp would do that during the game? Do you think that would happen to him? So again, I'm of the mind that if you bring that manager in and you pay him the big bucks and you call him elite manager, you expect elite results, and that's what he was brought in for. So fair play to Southgate, because we all battered him. He didn't get the credit he deserved. He's pretty much on a par with Tuchel, which according to the British media makes him an elite manager. But I would move him on.
And what about his reaction to that defeat?
I thought it was horrible how he handled the press. I thought it was horrible how he pretty much threw, I think, the players under the bus
with that DNA
after the loss. I didn't like it. I honestly think he's got an issue with Bellingham, between me and you, when you look at it and you see and what will sum up Tuchel for me is that before this tournament, you guys in the media were saying that there was a choice between Rodgers and Bellingham to start the World Cup for England. Is that true?
Yeah.
Based on insider information from the England camp. So the fact Tuchel still didn't know that Bellingham was nailed on to play every game, when you see what Bellingham did, who's a true world-class player for England and will be for years to come, sums him up as a manager, in my opinion.
See, I go the other way a little bit.
Of course you would. Safe way. Safe way.
No, not the safe way.
Of course.
I'm certainly not one to sit on the fence and hold back on my opinion.
You collapsed the fence.
However, when it comes to Bellingham, right, he was left out of that squad. We all remember it. I think it was back in October. We were doing a show live from Ascot Races. It was a shock that Bellingham wasn't called up. Mm-hmm. That's when the question marks really started. Then he gave that interview with our own Stuart Pearce and said that his mum, Tuchel, found that Bellingham's behaviour repulsive. He had to rail back on that.
Of course.
Obviously, it upset Bellingham.
Yeah, it was a stupid comment.
Then, as you say, the debate was... Well, he was always going to be in the squad, but the debate was there. Would he start
How could that
first
be a
game of the
debate?
season? Well, is there not an argument that Thomas Tuchel's man management
what a load of
got the
nonsense.
best out of Bellingham?
You're now bailing
Fired
him
him
out.
up. I'm not trying to bail him out. I'm just giving you a counter opinion.
You're bailing him out. The honest truth is that that was not reverse psychology, what he was doing with Bellingham. He wanted to start Rodgers over Bellingham. And I just think that whatever epiphany he had, or common sense, or maybe, I don't know, Rodgers had a niggle the day before the game, Bellingham started the tournament and Tuchel couldn't get him out of the team.
But is that not Bellingham determined to prove that?
No. That's Bellingham being your one true world class player.
Yeah,
which he is.
The one player probably in the team of the tournament.
He's the one player that would get in any team in the world, in any international team in the world. So he is 23. Covet him, wrap him up, make him your captain. He is the best you've got. And the media need to leave him alone, and the future managers need to let him get on with it, because he doesn't look like the type of player that needs to be motivated to play for his country. He'd probably play with a broken ankle.
I think the other thing that concerned me, when that squad was announced and we had all 26 names,
nonsense.
The day before it was announced, the fact there was no Maguire.
No, Wharton was the one killed me.
Well, Wharton as well. But I just think against Argentina, when there's that aerial bombardment, I know you've got Dan Burn. Maguire is a better footballer than Dan Burn. I love Dan Burn. There's no debate in that.
I understand that, but Dan Burn, proved his worth in games
against Mexico. Yeah,
so I get what you're saying. For me,
the reason he left out Trent and Maguire, let me just tell you this.
Yeah.
The reason he left out Trent and Maguire, and I know this because he relayed this to them when he told them they weren't going to be in the squad. He felt it would create too much of a media storm if they were in the squad but on the bench.
Yeah,
is that weak management?
That's nonsense. Weak, call it what you want. Look, the fact is, and I said this in a podcast a couple of months ago, he took two right backs that were basically injury prone and have historically been, had issues. So that was always a dangerous choice. He then, when one of them went down injured, replaced him with a centre back, which basically got 5 minutes against France in the third place game. So some of those decisions were bizarre.
His treatment of Kobbie Mainoo as well?
Yeah, Mainoo I didn't get. Adam Wharton was for me, will go, if Liverpool sign him, he will be a world-class player for England, in my opinion. And he was the type of player England needed in some of those games. The reason they lost the game is very simple. He talked about what he'd do in situations like Argentina, and he did the opposite. So he basically contradicted himself, because he's been on film and camera about when Southgate was 1-0 up or 2-1 up in finals, semi-finals, and basically retreated. Well, Tuchel retreated, as did his backside, when he brought on 19 defenders and left all the pace on the bench. Any great manager would have brought pace on out wide and taken it to Argentina, and certainly would have scored goals in the counter.
Now let's bring in David, the Manchester United fan. He's called 03717 22 3344. Where do you stand on Thomas Tuchel's future?
Gents, good afternoon. Alex Darragh. I've got to say, mate, Alex, I've tried to get this off my chest now since the game against Argentina, mate. And I've heard a lot of the pundits, a lot of the calls that have been piling in over the last week. And I just want to say, mate, what I want to really get off my chest is about Thomas Tuchel. Is regardless of anybody he took, regardless of all the tactics, I think the guy in that game, he proved he's a number one coward and an absolute bottle job, mate. Complete bottle job, if I've ever seen one. Darragh, you're absolutely spot on. He had, myself, people like Simon Jordan, well convinced that he's elite manager. And I'll be honest with you, on the back of some of the things, the way he handled the media, the way that he put his foot down with some of the selection,
some of the formations and the tactical side. He had us believing in everything. Right up until the point, he had to actually wear the trousers, mate. And he had to actually make the decisions that he was brought in for to get these England boys over
Rabbit
the
in the
line.
headlights.
By the way, mate, honestly, I still can't believe he's actually in a job, Alex. I'm disgusted, mate, because that was the biggest cowardly bottle job move I've ever seen in football in a giveaway, because the boys actually had that game for 65 minutes. What on earth possesses you to go, Gareth Southgate? I have no idea. You came in and talked about mentality in the semi-final after the game against Norway. Mentality. This is ultimate mentality. Where was your mentality, mate, when your team needed your help? Because the way I see it, mate, I'll be honest with you, we could have, I don't know how we would have played against Spain, but when you saw the final, what Argentina did, embarrassment. When you saw the way England played against France, it was great. So you don't know, it was a 50-50 game, because the boys, Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, Jed Spence, all the boys, they really played as best as they ever could, and that was a great England. They needed their manager, mate, and he let them down.
I agree. And the British press carried his water from him as well, I thought. Yeah, they did. I thought they let him away with a lot. I thought previous managers were hammered. Yeah. I always said Southgate was protected a little bit by the British press. Yeah. Fair enough, you know. But see, I thought Southgate did well, but not well enough. I just think Tuchel got protected. A lot of things happened. Another criticism I would have is that Harry Kane played too many minutes leading up to the main games. He was the one guy who never seemed to get taken off. And at his age, and it happened in Qatar. It was exactly the same in Qatar, where he was pretty ineffective even against France in the quarterfinal. And when he went later in the tournament, he played too many minutes.
But that was partly because we blew it against Ghana in the second game. If we won that match, we'd have qualified.
Well, what about Mexico when he was on for a prolonged period of time? And again, you could have had basically a Tony or an Ollie Watkins as an outlet up the top of the pitch, because what's Kane giving you back there? I just thought we burnt him out. England burnt him out too quickly.
We didn't learn any lessons. That's the biggest takeaway for me. A lot of people want to get involved in this conversation, actually, so I think we'll take more calls after news. We're going to talk Newcastle and Eddie Howe's frustrations in the window. We'll do that later.
Has he said he's frustrated
in the programme? Darragh MacAnthony.
You just said Eddie Howe's frustrations in the window. Has Eddie Howe said he's frustrated?
I speak to people.
No, but has he said it? Because I haven't seen him say it publicly.
He's not
he hasn't, right.
Media yet.
That's just one of your insider mates, is it, telling you that?
He's frustrated. Darragh MacAnthony, live wire that he is with me all the way. I'll tell you what, I'm going to lie down in a dark room at the end of this. We'll take more England calls next on talkSPORT.
I watched a lot of Marcus Rashford at Barcelona. I think it was a successful loan, Jeff. He played 43 times in the league and Champions League together, 13 goals, 10 assists. I'm just surprised teams haven't bid for him. I don't understand the Gordon transfer. I really don't. I feel Rashford is a better option than Gordon. He's 28. Is it the wages? Are we looking at someone that maybe his contract, if he's got a year left at Manchester United, the wages are too much for clubs to maybe sign him on a 4-year deal? Is he getting closer to that 30 mark as well? The contract will be something really strange going on there. But whoever signs him has got a fantastic player, because he looks like he's in a better mind frame as well. I look at him before the World Cup. He's at Inter Miami doing extra training. At Barcelona, we hear nothing negative about Marcus Rashford. He's in a better headspace being away from Manchester. So if I'm him and I'm his agent, does he look at another club abroad to get away from any distractions that he might have back at home?
Do you think he may have to settle for another loan deal?
It's hard, isn't it? Because will Manchester United accept that? Because if he's got a year left,
he may not have any options.
I know. Does this come down to the end of August, Jeff, end of the transfer window, and maybe it has to be, because I just don't see him playing for Manchester United again. One.
Sport.
With the 11 o'clock headlines, I'm Tom Clayton. Good morning. Morgan Rogers says he wants to bring the best version of himself to Chelsea after sealing his switch from Villa Park. He's thrilled to be back with his Bezzy mate, Cole Palmer, and can't wait to show Stamford Bridge what he's made of.
if a club wants you or players want you, they want you to be you, and they want that version of you. So it's just about me doing that, me adapting to what the team wants and different players and how they play, but then ultimately still showing my qualities and what I'm about.
Meanwhile, Gabby Agbonlahor says he's been vital of late and it won't be easy to replace him.
Even his goals and assists, and you've seen some of his goals from outside the box over the last 18 months, but just a player who can get a team up the pitch. You know, there's not many players out there who can receive that ball off the left or in that number 10 position, who can drive with the ball and get a team up the pitch.
Potentially heading in the other direction is Alejandro Garnacho. That appears to be a loan with an obligation to buy. On transfers, it's our understanding Crescencio Somerville's preference is a move to Roma. West Ham have already agreed a £65 million fee with Al Hilal, who set up a medical. It's also our understanding, though, that Roma sent a private jet to London yesterday to pick Somerville up, but he never showed. Donald Trump apparently wants to nominate Gianni Infantino to be the Secretary General of the United Nations. According to the New York Post, Trump believes Infantino is respected by everyone around the world. And Arsenal have signed the Spanish international goalkeeper Misa Rodriguez on a free transfer. The 27-year-old joins the Women's Super League side after leaving Real Madrid. Get more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Critics are questioning the maths of Andy Burnham's new £2 cap on single bus journeys, and inflation's fallen by more than economists expected. Amelia's back at £5:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. This summer, treat yourself to Bridgestone Turanza All-Season 6 tyres with a 25,000 mileage guarantee. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Mostly dry with sunny spells, especially warmer in central and southern areas. Cloudier and cooler across northern Scotland and parts of Northern Ireland with some light rain.
Anthony Joshua is on the road to destiny. But first, there is danger. Prenga, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. And AJ knows, one moment, one mistake, one punch will change history. AJ is back. But there is danger before destiny.
Well, this is the slot for big opinions that don't come much bigger than the man to my left, Darragh MacAnthony, the Peterborough United
That's
owner.
what she says.
Another dump.
Come on, guys. It's not bad language. You can't dump that bit.
Alongside me, Alex Crook.
in the production studio back there. Honestly, it's the generation.
All the way through until 1 o'clock. I'll tell you what, it says everything, doesn't it? We're a week on, I think. I think it was a week ago today that England got knocked out of the World Cup by Argentina. And the switchboard is still alive when it comes to the subject of Thomas Tuchel's future. 03717 223344. Leon, the Arsenal fan. Leon, you're of the belief that Darragh is really, that Thomas Tuchel simply is not the elite manager that we thought.
Yep, 100%. I mean, now we can look back at the squad. You can analyse the squad, not good enough in terms of the players he's taken. And you look at the decisions during the tournament, the performances, none of it's good enough. I mean, the semi-final was so disappointing. But for me, watching the third, fourth place, it wound me up even more because he actually came out and said he actually made the tactical decision to leave Bukayo Saka out of the semi-finals. And that's just, I think, just a horrendous decision. And through the tournament, we did not play well. We played well in one game, in my opinion. That was Croatia. We still conceded 2. We didn't take an upward step leaving Gareth Southgate. We didn't take a sideways. I think we've gone backwards, to be quite honest. And I have no hope for 2028 whatsoever.
Do you know the biggest thing that was bizarre to me? Usually, when you go to a tournament like that, by the time you get there and you've had your friendlies and you get through the first game, I don't think he knew his best 11. I don't think he knew his best 9. The wingers kept changing. You know, the back line kept changing. You know, yes, injuries
Didn't
played
name
a part
the
of
same
right
team
back.
twice.
No, it was bizarre. I watched it and I'm like, don't England know who their best wide players are? You know, they know who obviously their number 9 is. They know who their number 10 is, but they don't know who their wide players are. I mean, Gordon obviously played the most out of all the wingers, so I get that right. But the fact Saka didn't play in that, the biggest killer for everyone, you included, and all English fans, my wife included, but she's British and her and the kids were going crazy, was that was probably one of the worst Argentina teams England would ever play.
Agree.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Right. And on any given day, you'd expect England to batter them. Not beat them, batter them. I was out in Spain with my team, and they were all watching, and we had it on in a golf club across the way, and I honestly thought 3-0 England would win. The way they went on,
especially when they got the first goal,
100%. And I thought, well, if this manager's all everyone talks about, he'll make the necessary changes. I mean, tonight. Of the pitch. And
you look at the way the Spanish manager locked him down in the final.
What did the Spanish do? They dominated the ball. Yeah, they gave support to Cucurella over there. They basically put him in a corner, and Messi pretty much didn't have any effect in that final. But they dominated the ball with bravery and being fearless, and that's what England needed to do. And the worst part of all of this, England finally have players that can do that. And they have pace that could destroy you. Look at, I know the third place game was a waste of time game. Look at what their pace did to the French defenders. That's what England could have done to Argentina. That game could have been over by the 60, 70th minute.
Let's bring in Ray, the West Ham fan. Ray wants to have his say on Thomas Tuchel. Are you of the same belief as myself and Darragh that maybe a change of manager is needed already?
Oh, 100%. So listen to what Darragh said. He's got it all spot on. But the thing to me that I'll go even one step further, and I thought that he had done it all for himself. He wanted to be, to me, the first foreign coach to win the World Cup, the first person to win the World Cup for England since 1966. And what he done, to me, it's like cashing a bet out on £1,000 when he could have won 20,000. What he done, the whole team ethic went out the window. He made, even my wife who don't watch football went, what's he doing? The thing that he done, he ruined a brilliant chance. We see what we can do when what we done against Croatia, second half. And even my brother texted me after that game when that was Keegan-esque. Keegan, what would he have done in that situation? What would any other coach have done? And to me, he just thought of himself. He had a selfish head on, an ego head on. He weren't going to listen to anyone. 6 defenders on the pitch. And we've got players on that bench who could have come on and just done an out ball or whatever. It was just totally embarrassing, and I would get rid of him now because he's not going to win us a trophy.
No, I agree. Do you know one of the things I hated, by the way? The biggest thing I hated in that game was how weak England looked when they were getting bullied by Argentina with the fouls and the knee. You looked at how Spain handled all that crap from Argentina. I thought England, being from the Premier League, those players and the way they're brought up, they can't let them away with that. I thought Argentina took a lot of liberties because of the referee, and England let them away with murder.
Do you know what I would have been fascinated to see? Had it have been 1-1, and we had the extra half an hour, what would he have done then? Because his changes left him nowhere to go.
He's got 9 defenders on.
He left him nowhere to go.
I think it would have been a problem.
Yeah.
I don't think he had one change in extra time you get.
Yeah.
Would you get one?
Yeah.
So you'd have Saka to bring on.
Yeah.
So I guess he would have played one of the, what do you have, 2 full backs on at the time on the left side. One of them would have to play up front a bit or whatever with Saka. I don't know. I mean, he's made biggest mistake of his life.
Yeah.
And I wish, because you would have rather have lost that game 4-2 or 4-3.
100%.
Like, and the manager come out before and after the game and go, I'm going to tell everyone now, we're going for it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, that might mean we lose 4-3, but we're going to go for it. And that means if we're up, I'm going to bring on wingers and strikers and let people know what you're going to do.
But for him to come out afterwards and say he's got no regrets, you're either deluded or you're lying to us.
I hated
You're
that.
lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Lee, the Manchester United fan, has called as well. Lee, what do you want to say?
Hello, guys. I said when he named the squad, I said, unless we win the World Cup, he can't remain our manager. For me, he left a lot of strength, a lot of quality back home. And it was his comment what he made about Maguire. And I know I'm a little biased because I'm a United supporter, but when he had Maguire in the last 2 friendlies and Maguire played well, his words were, I got exactly what I thought I was going to get. Strength in the air and strength on the ball. He said, but I think Chalobah and others are in front of him. And he never took Maguire. Now, if he was looking at games and fixtures in the World Cup and thought, there's a chance I'm going to be defending here, or I'm going to be putting defenders on, I don't think Argentina score the second goal if Maguire's on the pitch. I don't think they score it. I think he heads that out. But I didn't understand his methods. I really didn't. He took Jordan Henderson, fair enough. He took Kobe Manu, didn't get on the pitch. Ivan Toney, very, very little minutes. But I think all of his defenders that he took played. So I just don't understand him and the quality of. I don't even think Southgate would have made those changes against Argentina.
No, Lee, thanks for the call. I mean, the other one that got me, he called up 2 injured fullbacks. Livramento and Reece
ridiculous.
Livramento pulls out on the eve of the tournament,
and then he picks a centre back. It's absolute
When you've
carnage.
got Lewis Hall sat somewhere at home,
love
you've
Lewis
got Trent
Hall.
sat on a beach somewhere.
And I get the Trent thing. Obviously, Trent farted downwind of him at a training centre or whatever else, and he just thought big personality can't handle it. Maguire, maybe big personality can't. What he's telling us is he's not an elite manager, because elite managers can handle big personalities. Jose Mourinho can handle elite personalities. He'll show you that in Madrid now. I think the other mistake you look at is that he's saying Harry Maguire. Let's not kid ourselves, Man United fans. Harry Maguire wouldn't have made any difference to the Argentina result.
He may have been able to head a couple more crosses.
Do me
away.
a favour. Let me tell you right now. Your biggest problem there was your fullbacks, and there was like 3 of them out there, couldn't get near a 40-year-old Messi. It was embarrassing. They couldn't stop a cross. They couldn't get out to a cross. They couldn't get out to a shot, and that's your £120 million player going to Man City to stop a cross. You can blame Dan Burn. You can blame the small goalie.
I wouldn't blame Dan Burn.
Stop the ball going in the box. Well, because here's the problem. Before that goal was scored, there should have been another 3 goals scored from identical circumstances.
Well, they had 5 corners. Troy Deeney pointed this out to me. 5 corners, they took exactly the same. 5 short corners. 1 England defender. Therefore, no one picks up Messi.
Right. That's tactical. That's technical. That's on the coach.
I mean, I'm not an elite football coach, but I know that leaving Lionel Messi unmarked to pick a pass on the edge of the area is probably not.
How many times was Messi kicked up in the air? Do you think how was Bellingham treated by the Argentina players? Let's say, how was Bellingham effective wise?
Well, they left one on Elliot Anderson earlier.
But Bellingham was kicked up in the air. They left plenty on him. How many times did England leave it on Messi, bar once when it was the first yellow card of the game? This is the war we're dealing with, and it's the Premier League players.
Let's bring in George, the Middlesbrough fan. George, are you here to defend Thomas Tuchel?
Yeah, well, I've just got one question to ask. Who else has got 3rd place in the World Cup since we won it?
3rd place doesn't matter, does it?
Absolutely nobody.
3rd place doesn't matter. Gareth got to a semi-final. Thomas has got to a semi-final. The fact England lost that 3rd place playoff against Belgium when he made, 7 changes. Don't be fooled. France didn't turn up for 45 minutes. When they did turn up in the second half, we lost 4-2. Honestly, you're falling into that trap. My wife said it. They can come home with pride. No, they can't. Because the game that mattered was Argentina. The last 25 minutes of the game. And beating a French team who were half-arsed about the game doesn't change that.
Ask elite athletes at the Olympics how they feel about the bronze and the golds, if they've got 2 of 1 of each. Ask them what they think about the bronze. And I agree with Crookie there a little bit that 3rd place is irrelevant. England hired this guy to win the World Cup. And let's be fair, it would have been a tall order against Spain. But there was every opportunity, because Spain don't score a lot of goals, that could have gone late and that could have gone to penalties. So it's a wonderful opportunity blown.
George, do you remember who finished 3rd at the World Cup in Qatar?
No.
Morocco?
No. There you go.
Morocco?
Other countries. We're talking about England, aren't we?
Yeah, but nobody cares. Did you go into this tournament praying we got 3rd place?
No, well, nobody does, but who's going to win it next? You were talking the other day about Pep Guardiola coming in and maybe not winning the next one or even the Euros, but building a team. Why can't Tuchel do that? Everyone was banging on about him being an elite manager until we lost against Argentina. So what's the difference?
I think the trouble is, George, and sorry to interrupt, I think the trouble is we won't get a better opportunity to get to a final, because Darragh's right. You take Messi out of that Argentinian team, there's nothing to fear. They proved that in the final against Spain. They made no effort to win the game, didn't have a shot on target, 1 shot off target in extra time after they've fallen behind. This was a massive opportunity for England. And again, it's the same old problem. We've seen this tournament after tournament. England beat the teams they should be beating, and I include Mexico in that. Take away the Azteca factor, the altitude, the atmosphere. They had Raul Jimenez up front. Raul Jimenez is going to be playing in the Championship next season. England didn't beat anybody at this World Cup that they shouldn't beat, and they come up against a team maybe on their level, and I'm not even sure Argentina were on their level, and we lose.
Spain beat France, beat Portugal. They beat some top teams. You go through your,
It was another easy route to a semi-final, and the manager blew it. I can't get away from that. The manager blew it. I'm not. The players maybe sat too deep, but again, if you're part of the coaching team, you encourage them to get higher up the pitch. You make the changes. Harry Kane's sitting too deep. Get him off. Get Rashford up front. Get Ollie Watkins up front. Get a runner on there.
Well, he's undroppable, Harry Kane. He'll play every minute of every game.
George, appreciate the call. We'll take one more, shall we, before we go to the break. Adam is a Charlton fan. Adam?
Yeah, hello. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
How you doing? Yeah, so my view is that Tuchel does need to go. But I think we should have got rid of him on Thursday or Friday morning. Right? We missed an opportunity there. We should have used the France game as an opportunity to say this is a new era of English football, right? Because we brought him in to make those big decisions in the big games, so we failed, right? He didn't do what we're paying him £5 million a year to do. So my view is he should have gone, and he should have gone last week. And we need to jump on Pep. If Pep's available, we need to sign him up.
Too young for international job, in my opinion, Pep.
Also, there's no guarantees there. You look at the two finalist managers, De La Fuente and Scaloni.
I love the passion in both.
But they've come through the system, so they've only ever known the international arena. Pep Guardiola is a very intense manager, day in, day out on the training pitch.
I think it would kill him.
He won't get that.
I think it would kill him being an international manager, not getting enough time with his players. So I think it's a false fallacy. They're not going to get Pep Guardiola, and they're not going to let Tuchel go. He'll still be manager for the next championship.
Oh, absolutely. Sadly, Trent had a great World Cup without kicking a ball. Respect to him for keeping quiet, says one texter.
That's such nonsense. With all due respect, and yes, I'm a Liverpool fan, and I know Trent's not been great defensively, but please, you looked at some of the games England were in and thinking, okay, I'll give you an example. Late on against Argentina when they lost, there was like 7 minutes of injury time. Was a Consta playing right back who had 3 chances to put the ball in. Don't tell me now, the guy who wrote that comment, that if Trent Alexander-Arnold had been brought on as a sub, at least 2 of those 3 deliveries would have ended up on the head of an England player. You saw it late on. Yeah. We had a centre-back playing right back. I keep saying we. My wife would be proud. And he couldn't deliver the ball. That was nothing on Consa. He's been put in a position he shouldn't have been. Trent Alexander-Arnold, or a player of that ilk, should have been on that plane.
Mike's made a really good point. I think if Norway scored the second goal when Haaland was not passed to,
it's over.
We paper over the cracks. It was a poor tournament. And actually, apart from that one half against an aging Croatia team and the backs-to-the-wall effort against Mexico, it wasn't a great tournament.
You didn't dominate one game in any big way, did you?
Didn't dominate DR Congo.
No, and that's very true, to be fair. That was late on, and that was the Harry Kane show, right? But you didn't actually go and dominate any one particular game. And I think England have got to learn from that. And the problem you've got with Tuchel is, I don't think he looks in the mirror very often, and I think he deflects well, he uses the press well, and we've seen his words. And some of those words are going to get to the players. I think they already have, and there'll be quite a lot of those players probably thinking, I ain't having you.
Yeah, the DNA.
I ain't having you.
Fascinating to see how that's gone down in the dressing room.
I'd love to get Bellingham on a truth lie detector machine.
Absolutely. Thanks for all your England calls. We are going to move on and talk about Newcastle next. It's been a tough summer so far. Now Arsenal are trying to prize away their captain, Bruno Guimaraes. You are listening to Alex Crook and Darragh MacAnthony in for White and Jordan on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. Talk about this story doing the rounds overnight about Pep Guardiola and Italy. Italy, of course, not part of the World Cup jamboree. Does raise the question, Kev, because we know now that there was a verbal agreement in place between the English FA and Pep Guardiola as recently as 2024. Obviously, that didn't quite happen in the end. If he is serious, Guardiola, about taking an international job, in the wake of that collapse against Argentina, is there an argument for the FA making a play now for Guardiola and deciding to pivot from Thomas Tuchel?
Yeah, look, I'd love nothing more than to see Pep in charge of our national team. And I think not only that, I think he'll give us something which will give us direction for not only just for the next 2 years, 4 years. He could help the FA within it. And, you know, I've been part of that. I know the culture and the DNA of what Thomas was talking about in last week and what they're trying to achieve. But I think Pep could add something different. I think he's got something, you know, he'll give us a style, he'll give us an identity of what he sees the game, how he sees it. And I think he'll be one who'll want to help everybody all down the line, if you like, the 21s, the 18s. I think he'll bring it all together so that it's all aligned and everything else, because I think that's probably what's needed now after Gareth and what he done, and it was when everybody forgets a fantastic job what he done behind the scenes and everything else. We then went to Thomas to go and win us the trophy to get us over it. It hasn't happened. So if there's an opportunity now where our number one target of 2 years ago is available, and it's funny that his representatives have put this out that he's speaking to Italy now. Yeah. So does that say that he does want this?
Anthony Joshua is on the road to destiny. But first, there is danger. Prenga, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. And AJ knows, one moment, one mistake, one punch will change history. AJ is back. But there is danger before destiny.
You are listening to White and Jordan on talkSPORT. Myself, Alex Crook, and the Peterborough owner, Darragh MacAnthony. And just when you think you've seen it all in football, what about this story coming out of Wolverhampton Wanderers overnight? Training cancelled yesterday at the Championship club because Tolo Arokadare refused to leave the pitch when asked not to train with the squad. They've got a new manager in Cesar Peixoto, seemingly not tolerating player power and poor discipline levels. This is a story by Nathan Judder, by the way, based up in the Midlands. Extra security was enforced at the training ground to make sure Arokadare did not repeat the feat. He also won't be part of the squad travelling to Maidenhead United for a friendly.
So
you ever had anything like that?
No, not to that extent. We've had some lunatics at our club, but not acting like that. And 20 years ago, a good manager, would turn around and stop everything, blow his whistle, and say to the leadership group, "I'm going in for a cup of coffee. You got 20 minutes to clear that dickhead off the pitch and sort him out." That's what would have happened 20 years ago. And this is the problem.
Does this undermine the manager a little bit?
Modern day players, they all probably were like, "Oh, we're not getting involved." No, look, at the end of the day, I can get the player side as well. This is very difficult. If a player's been ostracised or said, "Look, we don't want you and we don't want you here," they still have to be able to train. He did
have a fight with one of his teammates towards the back end of last season.
I understand that. So you sit down with the agent and the player and go, "Look, this is going to create a problem. We're going to train you with the B squad or the 21s for now, and we're going to try and get you a move." So they've got to, look, that stuff shouldn't be leaking, by the way. And whoever the local journalist is, he's got that from inside the club. And that's a real...
Journalist does his job.
Sure. Yeah, fair play. But that's a reflection also of modern day dressing rooms. Too much stuff leaks out. That never happened 20 years ago. You very rarely hear about stuff on the training ground. And I'll be honest with you, the stuff that goes on every day, matches, training, camps, whatever else, that you wouldn't even think twice about. Whether it's your players fighting, whether it's your manager losing his head, a player shouting back. That's quite normal. Sometimes you like it.
On the subject of the Championship, Middlesbrough completing a £20 million move for the Tottenham striker Will Lancashire. Did well at Oxford on loan last
spending
season.
the Rodgers money. Yeah. They'll be up there this year.
Fancy them to go strong?
I fancy them, to be fair, top two, because they have a good manager. They were very unlucky last year. They kind of let themselves down twice, didn't they, when they got like a reprieve. Their owner's probably one of the best owners in the Football League. They have all the tools. They've got the Morgan Rogers sell on and a few quid. And they're obviously the one thing they always do is invest. So they're investing well.
Yeah. Let's turn our attention to Newcastle, shall we? Kevin Nolan was sat in Darrah's seat yesterday. There's a lot to talk about. Their captain, Bruno Guimaraes, and a potential move to Arsenal.
Good business.
Kevin told me that losing Guimaraes will be a huge blow for Newcastle United.
Massive blow to Newcastle. I can't believe it's only 75 to 80 million because I really rate this lad. I think you seen that last season when he was out of the Newcastle team, how he struggled. He was, the one. He's been the captain. He's the one who's drove them, who's took them sometimes on his back and made things happen. So it'll be a massive signing for Mikel Arteta and Arsenal. I think he'll be fantastic to link up with a Declan Rice, and there's talks that Odegaard might be going out the door. So to bring someone of his quality into what is already a Premier League winning side and Champions League finalists will only make them a stronger and better outfit.
Now we should say, after we came off air, Newcastle were briefing they hadn't yet had any direct contact from Arsenal for their captain. They're also doubling down that he isn't for sale this summer, but
they should sell him.
Clearly Guimaraes wants out.
They should. Was he 29?
And Tonali,
Yeah, I think they should sell him.
One last big payday for them.
Yeah, I think, take the money, rebuild the squad. Everyone's getting their knickers in a twist over what's happening at Newcastle. You're saying Eddie Howe's frustrated and unhappy, unverified. Obviously, that's just you coming up with that from a contact.
Well, they missed out on a couple of signings.
Yeah, of course
they missed out
did.
on the Swiss boy to Aston Villa.
Liverpool are going to miss out on signings. Big clubs, Man United miss out on signings every day. So, who did you get beaten to this summer? But, Tottenham beat you to signings this summer. Man United, one of the biggest clubs in the world.
United would say they pulled out.
No.
The fee got too high.
There was no pull out there. You got beaten by Tottenham. So, here's the truth and here's the reality. Bournemouth lost their whole back line last year. They lost a lot of talent in their team. And I'm not trying to say one's the same as the other. But recruitment won. If you've got great recruitment, as Bournemouth showed, and Bournemouth nearly crashed the Champions League after losing their whole back line and basically going, 20 unbeaten during the season, nearly hitting the Champions League. Brighton have showed as well. Good recruitment solves all problems. So
a lot of
I can hear my fans screaming, and we're going to ring in about Peterborough's recruitment. But what I'm saying to you is, I think it's a great chance for Eddie to have a refresh. I think it needs a refresh.
Yeah, but a lot of pressure on Ross Wilson, who's just gone in as sporting director as well, because we know what he did at Forest.
That's what he's paid to do.
We know what he did at Forest, but you'll know how big a role Marinakis plays in there.
Yeah, of course. Look, Ross Wilson's no mug. Look, Newcastle's a really well-run football club. Ross Wilson's a good guy. I think he was a good recruitment hire. I think he'll do well. Of course, he's going to be under pressure, but he needs a few windows. He's new to it in there. Eddie Howe was a top-class manager. For me, if England needed a manager and he was available, you try and go after him. I think for him and his assistant, this is the perfect time to sit with the players and go, do you know what? Reset time. We've lost quite a few experienced players. We've lost some big names. We've lost some big egos. Now we go again and we build again.
And they've got to learn from last summer when the owners let this.
If there's a deal there to be done, get a deal done. That's what I'm saying. If there's a deal there to be done for an outgoing player, get it done. So if you really mean he's not for sale, get him to sign a new deal and keep him.
Yeah.
If he is for sale, pick up the phone to Arsenal, tell them to behave themselves, stop bringing through intermediaries. And
do you think they're unsettling the player, Arsenal?
I think every football
that's the accusation coming out.
No, I think every football club does that. And I'm sure Newcastle are doing that across Europe with their signings. That's just football. I haven't got a problem with that. That's just the nature of the game. Guimaraes is 29. He's not 21, so he shouldn't be unsettled. And Newcastle aren't skint members. They pay well. But if I were them and the fans, take a deep breath. Go sign some players. You need a better recruitment class than last summer. It needs to be nailed on. I like a couple of the bits of business they've done so far. I think 3 or 4 good signings with Eddie Howe, what he can do. I think for him in the training ground, it would be great because he'll have fresh voices.
Yeah. And maybe that's what's needed.
I think it's needed. I think it went stale.
Darragh MacAnthony with us all the way through until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Coming up next, big news coming out of Southampton relating to Spygate.
I rate Aston Villa. I know the size and the history of the club. They're a big, passionate support. This is bonkers because I rate Emery as well. I have no idea what anyone at Aston Villa have seen in Alejandro Garnacho to think that he is perhaps a solution. I just don't understand it.
Talk to me about the player.
He's a reprehensible character. I have nothing. I have absolutely nothing.
What was that word again?
Reprehensible, horrible, objectionable. I mean,
Google.
Hateful. There's very little to like about him. I think that he's a man who's in it for himself. I've seen nothing to suggest that he's a player that he believes he is.
He's 22.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't,
no, both of you
doesn't
chill
matter.
out. You're grown men. Hammering this poor lad.
He's not 16.
Poor lad.
No, but he's 22, and I get it. He's got all the riches in the world.
5 years at 22.
But I think it is overkill. He is a good player.
No, it's underkill.
He's a good player.
I'm not intelligent
he's
enough.
He's in the Premier League for a reason.
I'm not intelligent enough
he's
or
been
articulate
considered
enough
by Villa
to
for a
do
reason.
justice
He's
to
been your
how
club for a
objectionable this bloke is.
Can you ignore her?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Can you finish?
I am trying. Yeah.
Talk amongst yourself.
Okay. To any Villa fans, to any season ticket holder in that whole end, I tell you this is an error, a mistake, something that will haunt you. And it's a terrible, terrible statement for Aston Villa. He will disrupt your dressing room. He is not the player that people think he is. Do you know the kind of player that he is, really? He should be running the wing at Cadiz. That's the level of footballer that he is. He should be running the wing at Iber, at best. This belief that he is somehow a fantastic talent that just needs the right manager to unlock him. He is a million miles away from that. He's really destructive to a dressing room.
talkSPORT News.
Very good morning. You're listening to talkSPORT. Here with the news headlines, I'm Amelia Beltrao. The Prime Minister says he's not accepting cheaper transport isn't an option. As Andy Burnham brings in a new £2 cap on most single bus journeys in England. It will be available from January till the end of 2027 and will be paid for by turning international climate grants into loans. But the Transport Secretary has admitted the details still need to be worked out. Now, prices are rising more slowly when it comes to services and what we pay for in the shops. Inflation fell to 2.6% in June. It had been 0.2% higher than the previous month. Now, a police officer's killers could be freed early under the government's prisoner release scheme. PC Andrew Harper died in 2019 after getting caught in a strap attached to the back of a car and dragged down a country road. Jesse Cole and Albert Bowers were both in the vehicle and each got 13 years behind bars the following year. Well, former Scotland Yard detective Mike Neville says the government needs to get tougher.
We need a tough government that will crack down on crime. And when police officers are working hard to catch criminals, they should see that those criminals go to jail.
And Prince George has turned 13 today. A new photo taken by his mum Kate has been released on the Prince and Princess of Wales's social media. The young royal will start at Eton College in September, following in his dad's footsteps.
Talk Sport Sports Headlines with Bostik. For workable, easy-to-apply mortar that tools easily, pros trust Bostik.
Thunder Eckert has been formally charged by the EFL. Morgan Rogers has admitted Cole Palmer and Reece James had a hand in his move to Chelsea. Ben has more at midday.
Anthony Joshua is on the road to destiny. But first, there is danger. Prenga, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. And AJ knows, one moment, one mistake, one punch will change history. AJ is back. But there is danger before destiny.
You are listening to Alex Crook and Darragh MacAnthony right here on talkSPORT. We're going to talk golf in just a moment. More fallout from the Bryson DeChambeau incident at the Open over the weekend. But first of all, big news coming out of Southampton. The FA confirming in the last few minutes that the Southampton manager, Tom de Ecker, has been charged with 3 breaches of regulations. It, of course, relates to the Spygate scandal, not just around Championship playoff semi-final opponents Middlesbrough, but also ahead of league games against Oxford and Ipswich. Tom de Ecker has until Tuesday the 28th of July, so next Tuesday, to provide his response. It's my understanding he won't contest the charge. What do you think the punishment should be, Darragh?
Big news. What, he's been charged? Obvious news, you mean? What do I think? Sacking, should have happened probably for me. When
you defied it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. For what would have happened, the players, the disappointment, the fallout, I probably would have, it would have been one of those where you'd be like, unforgivable. The person I felt most sorry for was the analyst. That was my son, working in a low-paid job.
Yeah.
His career, his name is tarnished forever. So I don't know what punishment they'll give him. Maybe they'll get a few matches banned. The real shame in this is he's obviously a top-class manager. Where he took Southampton from to, there were miles out of it when he came along and obviously took the team over. So he's obviously got a lot of talent. And just the dumbness of it all just surprised me. But in saying that, I think the punishment of throwing them out of the playoff
and a 4-point deduction to start the season as well
was, in my opinion, harsh. But it was a difficult one for the EFL, to handle. And the one thing I'd say about the EFL, they handled it very quickly, efficiently, in the way they should have.
Got a comment here from Southampton as well. Southampton Football Club and first-team head coach Tom de Ecker acknowledged today's charges from the FA relating to a breach of Rule E3.1. Tonda and the club will continue to cooperate fully and openly with the FA. Our focus remains on preparations for the 26-27 championship season. The club remains fully supportive of Tonda and his staff. We look forward to working towards our ambition of returning to the Premier League. We are unable to comment further while the process remains ongoing, but we will provide an update to supporters as soon as we are in a position to do so. The fact they are standing by him.
It's taken 2 months to do all that.
Yeah.
Why does it take so long?
And at least another week.
I don't understand the cost that goes into these things, the time it takes. And I've been in, issues over the years with a few things like that. It just takes too long. It costs too much money. He's pleaded guilty, I presume.
Yeah.
He's saying okay.
He's not expected to contest the charge.
Right, okay. So you can contest this. So let's get it over with and done and dusted in a day so that Middlesbrough can move on, the manager can move on. Some of this stuff, bureaucracy-wise, just takes too long. It's jobs for the boys.
The fact he wasn't fired, and they did look at it at one stage, Southampton, I understand it. Does that tell you that maybe the hierarchy knew what was going on?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think the sporting director?
No,
the manager was up to.
I don't think the owner or the sporting director would have known. No, I'd be very surprised. You know, there's nobody with proper brain cells that's in a sporting director role or an ownership role that would basically know about that and allow that to continue. Not a chance in hell.
And do you think Steve Gibson was genuinely angry?
Oh, yeah.
Or was he trying it on?
No, I think Steve Gibson would have been wound up and angry by it.
It wasn't just about getting himself in that play.
But I'll be honest, if I was the Peterborough owner and, things happened to us during COVID I thought were unfair, if that happened, I wouldn't have wanted to play in the final. I'd have been like, I'd have taken it as a freebie, but I would have been like, listen, I don't think we lost the game because of some dude hiding in the bushes looking at how we set up, in my opinion. So, but look, Steve Gibson's, like I said, legend of an owner, and Middlesbrough, the irony is they'll probably win automatic promotion. But don't write Southampton off, even with 4 points, because the manager obviously knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and they've already signed some good players.
Yeah, they've signed some very good players.
So, I think the overriding emotion from the EFL after that playoff final was, thank heavens Hull won.
Oh,
because otherwise there'd have been all kinds of legal ramifications.
Absolutely, and that's a whole mess you don't want to get involved in. I'm now in the EFL board, and we have enough on our plate to get on with in the future than be dealing with that stuff historically. So, I think that's why I'm surprised the FA 2 months. Just get it done, get it dealt with. Serve him up, give him the punishment, stick him behind.
Maximum punishment, by the way, is a 12-month ban.
Yeah, I think that's not going to happen. He might get something suspended, but it ain't going to be a 12-month ban. But then you may as well have to fire him because you haven't got your manager for 12 months. So, I don't know. Let's see. But let's get it done quickly. It just takes too long, this stuff.
Yeah, just a reminder, big breaking news. Tonda Eckert, the Southampton manager, formally charged by the EFL 3 breaches of regulations in relation to Spygate. He has until next Tuesday to respond to the charge. talkSPORT understands he will not be contesting those charges. Sean O'Brien, talkSPORT's golf reporter, has joined us in the studio because there's still a lot of fallout, isn't there, to the events at the Open of the weekend. That 2-point penalty, 2-shot penalty for Bryson DeChambeau, and now we know that he did threaten to call his pal Donald Trump, much like the US football team did.
How do we know that?
Well, it's been widely reported by some very credible sources that he threatened to call Donald Trump on Friday night when this kind of massive...
Who are the sources?
So Bob Harrig, who's a very, very kind of respectable golf journalist, and The Guardian and The Times, and everyone's kind of run with it by now.
I don't believe it. I can't believe it. I know Bryson's stupid at times and whatever else, but I can't believe he's done that.
Well, it's funny you should say, because Bryson is actually incredibly close to Donald Trump. So
I know that. I know he's done his YouTube channel and all of that kind of stuff, but I think your definition of close is ridiculous. He's done his YouTube channel. No. And I know Trump's congratulated him on winning live tournaments, and he's obviously played at Doral. But to say that he's ringing the president, I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I think it's an easy one at the moment, considering what happened in the World Cup. But look, he's a spoiled brat. The way he acted at the British Open, he was a spoiled brat. McIlroy was absolutely right, what he said about him. I'm glad he had the cojones to come out and do what he did. Bryson DeChambeau, it's boring.
Yeah, I think it is worth noting that Bryson's the chair of Donald Trump's Council on Sports Nutrition and Fitness. He's
with a load
actually
of NFL players as well.
So I think there is actually a kind of stronger relationship there than kind of it goes beyond the YouTube stuff that he's done with Trump. And it's interesting, if he did call Donald Trump, I don't think he would have been much help either, because the RNA have a kind of history with Donald Trump when it comes to Turnberry and owning that course.
They've blacklisted him.
They've blacklisted him.
And there's some magnificent golf courses.
It is, yeah.
So they've got political.
So they're used to saying no to Donald Trump, so I don't think he would have been much help anyway.
Let's hear from Rory McIlroy. You referenced him there. This is what he had to say about Bryson DeChambeau's behaviour.
I think there's no doubt that he improved the line of his backswing. So, and again, it's like whether it was careless or whether it was intentional, I don't think it matters. Hopefully it was careless. But I think the 2-shot penalty was justified for sure. I won't pretend to be up here and defend Bryson. I'm not particularly fond of him. I think a lot of it's performative. I think a lot of it's for attention. And to hold the tournament hostage like that and have all of us, volunteers, players, everyone waiting on him to depart, I didn't feel like it was a great look.
Strong words from Rory McIlroy. Not particularly fond of him. I think it's fair to say not many people on the tour are fond of Bryson DeChambeau.
No, it's a good point, and I love when Rory gets honest like that. It seems like he doesn't really care anymore what people think, which is very refreshing for a
He's done the
athlete.
Grand Slam now, so
An athlete competing at that level, he just tells you exactly what he thinks. It's very difficult to argue against the idea that Bryson DeChambeau is performative. I think you could maybe debate the ruling, whether it was fair or not, and that has split opinion. There's opinions on both sides.
Sure.
However, I don't think anyone can defend what Bryson did after the ruling went against him. I mean, he, as you say, behaved like a bit of a spoiled brat, didn't he? It happened to Shane Lowry in Portrush last year. He got a very controversial penalty, and he expressed his kind of dissatisfaction about it. But then he took it on
said
the
he
chin.
didn't want that as his reputation.
Exactly.
And he's right. And top golfers, world-class golfers, take it and move on.
That's
and it
the
was
thing.
early enough in the tournament for Bryson to come back from that. It wasn't like
100%.
it was Saturday night, was it, going into Sunday? It was Friday night.
It was Friday night. He was still only 3 shots back.
Yeah, so really, he's killed himself.
Yeah.
And McIlroy can't stand him, because what happened a couple of years ago at the US Open. I think it just didn't go well on the course when he beat Rory to that major. And Rory, like, three-putted a couple of times. But it's boring, isn't it, some of the stuff? You see it, the DeChambeau, he's wound up, was it Brooks Koepka? They used to have a love-hate relationship and whatever else. He's on Live now. Live is nearly out of business, aren't they? Like, they've got issues. So I don't know where he's going to go from here, do you?
No, so he could very well go into full-time content creation. He could become like golf's Jake Paul, because his Live Golf contract expires at the end of this season. I can't see him running back to the PJ Tour with his tail between his legs and playing on the DP World Tour to try and get his status back. So he's publicly suggested that he could become a full-time YouTuber.
Does he get the Koepka's the deal? You know, Brooks Koepka did a deal to go back, didn't he? And give up money and donate to charity and, you know, be the reserve to get into tournaments.
That deal was on the table for Bryson DeChambeau when it was offered to Brooks Koepka, and Brooks Koepka took it. It was also offered to John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, and Cam Smith. They all said no, and the PGA Tour have made it very clear that that was a one-time thing. So now, if you want to come back, you have to go down the Patrick Reed route, which is earn your way back. So Patrick Reed is now playing full-time.
Another unlikable character, isn't he? I can't defend these American brethren of mine over there. These golfers, you know what I mean? They're like lunatics. But
Patrick Reed, another very unpopular figure, but is, like, credit to him, he's going back on the DP World Tour, kind of earning his way back, and he's basically held his hands up and gone like, I kind of regret that I joined Live Golf. I'm going to work my way back to the PGA Tour in the right way.
Mad one.
Yeah, I agree.
He's so talented at his age, but I guess 400 million would make us all do a few things.
Yeah, exactly.
Sean, what we've got, you just talk us through what's happening when it comes to Live. They've already lost the Saudi funding. What does the future of Live look like? Is it game over?
It seems like it. There was another nail in the coffin yesterday, actually, because the Asian Tour did a deal with the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour. And the reason why that's incredibly significant is because the Asian Tour has acted as a real ally for Live Golf over the last 5 years. So it's basically the pathway. It's the thing that means that Live Golf isn't just a closed shop. You can get relegated to the Asian Tour. You can use the Asian Tour to earn your way onto Live Golf. But perhaps more importantly, they were hoping to leverage the Asian Tour in its restructure and its rebranding and saying, right, we need to raise $350 million to keep this thing alive. At least we've got the Asian Tour. We can say to sponsors, okay, we'll turn these events into national opens. You can go and sponsor those. And if you're being a cynic, you could say the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour have basically done this to dismantle Live Golf pretty much and take a key kind of ally away from them. And it's really difficult to see how Live Golf does survive in its current form, which is $20 million purses and contracts worth hundreds of millions, because someone's going to have to pay for it. And it's incredibly difficult to see why anyone would, because the Saudis were willing to just set $5 billion on fire. And I imagine Rory McIlroy actually put it best. I mean, if the world's wealthiest sovereign wealth fund decides that you're too expensive for them, I mean, how are you going to convince anyone else to pay for this?
Yeah. What about the guys who are still owed money? Is Ram still owed some of the 400 million, or is it paid up front?
So Ram's contract is actually it hasn't really been released publicly, but there's a lot of speculation that the reason Brooks Koepka was able to get out of his contract and Ram hasn't been able to get out of his is because a lot of the money Ram is being paid is in installments, so he has to stick around, and it's a lot harder for Ram to get out of that contract, whereas easier for Brooks Koepka.
But now the Saudis have pulled the money. Does that mean Ram's not going to get paid? It's guaranteed. You know what I mean? Because obviously, I would have thought a lot of these guys would have taken the chunks up front.
Yeah,
you would have thought so. Ram's spoken about it publicly as well, and said that. It almost alluded to the fact that he has no choice but to stick around, and you imagine that alludes to a kind of contractual obligation.
Yeah.
Sean, great stuff as always. Thanks for bringing us up to date of all things from the world of golf. When we come back, we're going to be asking Darragh MacAnthony to name his top 5 managers in next season's Premier League. You are listening to Alex Crook and Darragh MacAnthony in for White and Jordan on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
What do you make of the transfers? And also Madison's back. You know, maybe Kulusevski coming back as well. You got some key players back as well.
I'm excited. I really am. It's going to be interesting to see what he does with the team. It looks like he's got some real kind of men in. You know, like with Tonali and Robertson, people who are going to, you know, like leaders on the pitch. I think that's what we needed. You know, it seems to me like he's going for a type of side who are going to have some energy in the middle of the park. With a bit of experience and kind of like a bit. I want to see a bit more like Housery from us, do you know, like a bit like Arsenal have done. Yeah, you know, a bit more like know how to win, and because we've been a soft touch. We've played some decent games, but then like we'll throw away goals and points at the end of the game.
And it's time to embrace playing in that outstanding stadium. Yeah, getting a home crowd on side. Don't fear playing there like they have done for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Like embrace it and make it a fortress.
Yeah, I'm happy with what we've done so far. We've still got to figure out what we're going to do on the left. Like the left wing for me is an issue. Who's going to play out there? No, we don't want Garnacho.
Well, take over.
No, you take Garnacho, mate. He's a good player. Take Garnacho.
He's good. You have him.
Oh, I think he's a good player, mate.
Why didn't you outbid us? Outbid us, mate.
I think that if we sort left wing out and maybe look, Richarlison's not the future for me with Spurs. I think if
Anthony Joshua is on the road to destiny. But first, there is danger. Prenga, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. And AJ knows, one moment, one mistake, one punch will change history. AJ is back. But there is danger before destiny.
You're listening to Alex Crook and Darragh MacAnthony here on talkSPORT with you all the way through until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Now, Pep Guardiola, of course, has exited the Premier League at the end of his trophy-laden stint in charge of Manchester City. Does beg the question, who are the top 5 managers in the Premier League next season? Darragh has been pondering that. Do you want to go in reverse order? Number 5 to start with?
Oh, number 5. I would have to say it would be a shout between my Liverpool manager, Areola, and obviously the Tottenham manager, Robert De Zerbi. So that's not based on Tottenham's position in the last couple of years, but what I think of him as a manager. I would then go. One. Oh God, I'll have to go for the Liverpool manager because of what he did with Bournemouth and losing all his players last year. Okay. I would then probably go for Glasner because he's a trophy winner. He did it with Palace. He's now at Nottingham Forest, so I think he's a top class manager.
Interesting.
I would then go for Alonso, number 3.
Based on what he did in Germany?
Based in Germany, yeah. And based on what I think he can do after a little bad spell at Real Madrid. I would then go for Emery. Yeah. Unai Emery. And then I would go Arteta. There's your top 5.
So it's interesting. Enzo Maresca nowhere to be seen?
No.
You're not a fan, even though he won the Club World Cup?
I think he did well there. And I think, Leicester, I saw a lot of his team at Leicester and whatever else. So I think he's been, gifted a dream job. They obviously like him because he's obviously worked there and he was in the assistant staff to Pep. It's one or the other. He's either going to dominate with Man City and do really well, Man City are going to have a problem in 12 months' time.
And no Michael Carrick either, despite what he did at Manchester United second half of last season.
Listen, fair play to Carrick. I think that was more about his assistant. I think
you're a big fan of Steve Holland.
I am. I think Holland was exactly what he needed, and maybe that's exactly what Carrick needs to be a top class manager. I'm glad they gave him the job. I was one of those who thought he deserved the job. Let's see now if he can kick on this season. It's the second season. You come in, you've that immediate, upward tick, and he made Man United very difficult to beat, formidable, winning games. Be interesting because you want British managers to do well. You naturally, as an owner of a football club in Britain, you want lots of UK managers to do well. So I want Carrick to do well. Even as a Liverpool fan, I want him to do well at United.
One of the questions the producer has put on the running order here is, where have all the top managers gone? Is this the weakest set of 20 managers the Premier League has ever had?
No, because we're leaving out people here. We're leaving out Keith Andrews, who's an unbelievable start at Brentford. We're leaving out the Brighton manager, where everyone was falling over themselves to remind us how young he was 2-3 years ago. And he's just settling in.
Did get them in Europe, though?
Brilliant manager. Brilliant manager.
And actually, he was great as part of our talkSPORT coverage of the World Cup this summer as well.
Oh, was he? Yeah, really? Okay, fair enough. No, great man. Listen, nobody's going to question Tony Bloom and what they do at Brighton because they get everything right. So they've got him right as well. Who else did I leave out there? I went through the list. You got the Sunderland manager. LeBrie, he just was unbelievable last year what he did there. So I guess the question is going to be, how many of the foreign managers who've done well are going to hang around? And I've left Eddie Howe out, haven't I? And Eddie Howe, for me,
you think he should be England manager?
Yeah, I'm only leaving him out because probably last year what happened at Newcastle, if you'd asked me this a year ago, Eddie Howe would be top 5.
Yeah.
And then I'm really fascinated to see how Lampard's going to do at Coventry, because I think Coventry...
Because if he did well, he might be another contender for England as well.
Too early
down the line.
Too early. I like it. I was always a big critic of Lampard early on. I thought he got handed and gift-wrapped a lot of good jobs. And what I love is that he took that job and he's gone in there. He's proved me wrong, but what he's done is shown that he wants to be a top-class manager. I love that about Lampard. I love the Coventry owner. I think he's one of the best owners in the game, and he's gone in there and backed that club. And I think Coventry are going to be the dark horses. I think they're going to do really well this year. I think Coventry are going to be this year's Sunderland.
It's amazing when you think 8 clubs in the Premier League are going to start the season with different managers, then ended it.
That's the game. That's the industry.
Well, 10 if you include Carrick and De Zerbi. Half the Premier League have changed managers. Someone who's come back to the Premier League, Gary O'Neill at Ipswich. Simon Jordan, when we were over in New York, was quite disparaging of Gary O'Neill. He called him weak.
Yeah, that's a strong comment. I don't know if Simon knows him well enough to call him weak, so that's unfair. I don't know why he's done that. That's almost personal. So maybe they do know each other. I don't know. I don't know enough about Gary O'Neill. I know he did very well at Bournemouth when Scott Parker had waved the white flag. I think it was Scott Parker at the time.
And Gary 9-0 to Liverpool.
Yeah, and he waved the white flag, which is why I've always been a bit dismissive about Parker's career. And Gary O'Neill went in there and picked up the dregs of a 9-0 defeat and kept them up. He did well early on with Bournemouth, or with Wolves, and then obviously it all went wrong, as it has for a few people at Wolves. So the question marks are on him. If he keeps Ipswich up, he's going to propel himself into a different conversation. Weak is a hard word.
That's what I was going to ask you, actually. When you look at the newly promoted teams, Leeds and Sunderland backing the recent trend last season of clubs who come up and go straight back down again. You've got Coventry under Lampard, you mentioned Ipswich under O'Neill, Hull, whose owner, Atune Ilikali, we had on yesterday. Which of those sides do you think are best equipped to stay up? Obviously, there's still a whole summer of signings to be done. I think all three will be busy in the market.
Obviously, Hull, Ipswich. Who's the third? Coventry. I think Coventry will be the one by a mile.
Because of Lampard?
No, because of their owner. Right. Because I think he's going to give Lampard the tools. They've already spent 40, 50 million. I think he'll give them the tools. I think they'll sign some big players. They'll do a Sunderland. I think any of those new sides go up can look at Sunderland and Forest basically as the template that if you really want to have a go at staying in the Premier League, you're going to have to spend 100 million on the right players. The recruitment's got to be spot on, but 100 million is probably the number. Forest did it a few years ago, still in the Premier League. Sunderland did it last year, top 10. That's what you've got to do. So I think Coventry are the club who will probably do that. Ipswich have always spent money. I'm not sure they go to that level. I don't know enough about your mate, the Hull owner.
He said yesterday we're going to sign 10 to 12 players.
No, fair play. He's
ambitious. A mixture of overseas players and those with Premier League experience.
He's ambitious, so good luck to him. Look, you want the clubs to do well, particularly being part of the EFL. You want them to stay there. As we know, statistically and historically, the odds are the two, if not all three of them, come back down.
Yeah.
But if I were a betting man, I think Coventry are going to be top 14.
Was it refreshing for you as an EFL owner last season that we had two teams without parachute money in Coventry and
Loved
Hull
it.
who went up?
Loved it.
And actually, Hull was subject to a transfer embargo.
Yeah, no. Listen, what they did at Hull was a miracle, and you've told me you helped with that, with all the recruitment.
Claim a little bit of credit.
Yeah, the insider himself. That was fantastic to see that, because you don't want what do they call it, the vicious roundabout, where it's the same clubs all the time. They come down, go back up. You don't want to go down that route. So you always want outsiders to do the trick. What Coventry did in the Championship was ridiculous last year. The goals they were scoring, they set the pace. They were so far ahead. When you think they're up against clubs who'd 100 million to spend. So it'll be a really interesting Premier League. Who do you fear for this year? Who's the outside club that you fear for?
What, in terms of who might get dragged into trouble?
Yeah.
You mentioned Keith Andrews, and again, much like Tony Bloom, Matthew Benners' model is fantastic.
No chance.
I think it's going to be very difficult for Brentford to maintain what they did.
No chance. No chance. I'm telling you now. I'm just, the people behind the scenes are too smart. I think Keith Andrews will be year 2. I think he's a quick learner.
Yeah.
I think if you look at what he did through the EFL and then gone into media, then coaching, management, nobody expected him to be in that job after 4 months. Never mind.
I'm a massive Keith Andrews fan.
Yeah, I know. But there's absolutely, in my opinion, no chance Brentford will be.
Fear a little bit for Bournemouth, new manager, obviously European football to contend with as well. Alex Scott possibly having his head turned by a bigger club.
I think they'll have an issue early on, like they did under Areola when he first came in. It took him a while to adjust. I think the recruitment's some of the best recruitment we've seen in the Premier League over the last 3 years. It's continued even after Richard Hughes went to Liverpool. So I don't know. There's got to be one club there.
Palace?
If they lose some more players, if they keep spending, they'll be fine. It's very difficult for me to question Steve Parish because every time you think Palace are in trouble, they bounce back or they win trophies. So I know they've got hammered for Glasgow not getting backed and not spending money, but how can you have a go at the board who've kept that club in the Premier League for what now, 15 years, 14 years, have won 3 trophies in the last 2 seasons?
You count the Community Shield, do you?
You have to, and you've got that arrogant look on your face, but if Man United won that, you'd be all over the place. There'd be
doing it every year.
There'd be balloons out.
Doing it every year.
So all I'm saying is, I think what Parish and his other owners have done in competition, look, losing Glasner was a body blow, but he was obviously high maintenance. It'll be interesting to see
this
how
guy,
he gets on
Pierre Serge, comes with a
he's got great
for
pedigree.
France.
He's got great pedigree. So I'm not sure. It would be a no for me on Palace being in trouble.
So who do you think then? I mean, if you're saying Coventry are going to stay up, who's going to go down? It's tough, isn't it?
It's really difficult. I couldn't nail it.
Can Leeds do what they did last season?
I think they're going to rely on.
Is Calvert-Lewin going to stay fit again?
Right. Lewin played in the games and scoring the goals.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't do that, they could have an issue.
Yeah.
And for me, Leeds are a massive football club. I'm wondering about Sunderland's second season.
Yeah, me too.
And only
I think keeping Granit Xhaka out of the touches of Chelsea is key.
Well, keeping him, but then the manager as well. Because he's obviously a top-class manager. How long do you keep him? So all those things are going to kick in. Second season syndrome is a big thing. So it'll be an interesting. But I couldn't pick 3 if you asked me to. Couldn't say to you that club's going to be in trouble. I don't think Arsenal will win the title. I think they're favourites. They should win the title. But I think if those players aren't in great condition and there's a late response from the World Cup coming back, that could be a problem.
Robin Colchester says, I think Newcastle could get dragged into a relegation.
No chance.
I can't see that. Dave in West Sussex had to pull over and text in. How good is Darragh this morning? Speaks so much sense. Enjoy listening to him.
Thank you.
P.S.
Long lost cousin.
Tuchel. Well, let's see what Darragh would do if he was in the running for FIFA president. He's going to set out his blueprint in the next part of the programme. This is Crook and MacAnthony on talkSPORT.
You're a Chelsea fan, Tim. What's your view on Enzo Fernandez?
Yeah, I mean, this season I've been a huge fan of what he's given us on the pitch. He's a great player to have. He's always popping up with one of those classic goals from just outside the area, sort of just runs in, smashes it in. Lovely to see, can't complain. But in the World Cup, the way the guy's conducted himself on the pitch is just absolutely disgusting. I'm just thoroughly embarrassed that he plays for my club. The way he's just been flying into tackles, that one in the final when he got sent off, him dancing around on the pitch with the Falklands banner, it's just disgraceful. I want him gone. Let's just patch in.
Tim, can I say, I totally take your point on those parts there, especially the Argentina parts. But with everything that's gone on with Chelsea, especially this season, where at times you've been a bit of a laughing stock under the Liam Rosenior moment seemed to come to my mind and seem a little bit soft.
Yeah, I know.
Seem a little bit soft. Is it wise to get rid of the one player with a bit of bite, even if he is to all the other things you just said?
Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying there.
Yeah.
And it's a really good point, and I've got to say it's one that's quite difficult to answer. I guess it would all depend on who you replace him with, you know.
And you've been doing really well at that, haven't you, at your club, replacing people.
Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, you've punched me right in the soft underbelly there. I've got no...
Sport.
I'm Ben Fletcher. Good afternoon. Tom de Eckert's been charged by the FA for his role in Spygate. The Saints head coach was found to have broken the rules 3 times. talkSPORT understands he won't contest those charges. Our very own Nick Ellaby has looked over Southampton's statement in response.
The club and Eckert promised to remain fully compliant, but their full focus is on the new championship season. Southampton say they're providing their utmost support to their manager. They start the new season with a 4-point deduction.
Next to Chelsea, where Morgan Rogers says it's great to be reunited with his Bezzy, Cole Palmer. The former Villa midfielder admitted to Chelsea TV he reached out to Reece James.
Obviously being a captain, being a part of it, and he was just explaining to me the club, what it's about. I wanted to get a feel and a vibe for it, so asking him questions just about it to make sure my decision was right. But the moment he started speaking and talking about the way it is and how the group is,
He's also described Chelsea as the biggest club in London. Potentially heading in the other direction is Alejandro Garnacho. That appears to be a loan with an obligation to buy. Staying with transfers, it's our understanding Crescencio Somerville's preference is a move to Roma. West Ham have already agreed a £65 million fee with Al Hilal, who've set up a medical. It's also talkSPORT's understanding Roma sent a private jet to London yesterday to pick up Somerville, but he never showed up. Arsenal have signed the Spanish international goalkeeper Misa Rodriguez on a free transfer. The 27-year-old joins the Women's Super League side after leaving Real Madrid. And Donald Trump apparently wants to nominate Gianni Infantino to be Secretary General of the United Nations. According to the New York Post, Trump believes Infantino is respected by everyone around the world. You can get more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
A police officer's killers could be freed early under the government's prisoner release scheme, and single bus fares in England will be capped at £2 from January. There's more with Emma at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, where we've got a wider range of premium tyres than Britain has rainy days. Visit your local centre or book at quickfit.com today.
Dry with sunny spells for most of us, cloudy with the chance of drizzle in northern areas.
Well, they say time flies when you're having fun. We're into the last hour of Crook and MacAnthony here on talkSPORT. Don't worry, though, Darragh back tomorrow and Friday, assuming we don't get him cancelled before then. Let's talk about Gianni Infantino, shall we? Under pressure to step down or be replaced as FIFA president, despite the fact you were hearing on the news there from Ben that Donald Trump wants to make him UN Secretary General. Darragh, let's get your immediate reactions to that. Respected by everybody around the world, apparently, is Johnny.
I'm Johnny, as we call him now. Yeah, in the business. I don't believe that. And it's like, look, the America Post, was it the Post? Was it the New York Post?
New York Post,
yeah. I don't believe that at all. And yes, Trump is tone deaf to a lot of things, but there's no way in hell that Infantino's getting that job. I don't think he's leaving. I think he'll be in charge of FIFA for a while.
Yeah, I think he will be as well, despite the fact La Liga president Javier Tebas has accused FIFA of, quotes, destroying the football industry. When asked if Infantino should quit, Tebas said, in my opinion, yes, I think his time is up. Former FIFA president Sepp Blatter has also called for fans, players and national...
They brought him off life support, did they? At 90.
To reclaim football and bring it back to its roots under new leadership. I mean, if you're getting a moral lesson from Sepp Blatter, you're probably going wrong somewhere in life, aren't you?
The irony, yeah.
But it does beg the question, if we were in the running for FIFA presidency, what would we bring in? So, go on, what would be your What would be your manifesto, your top manifesto promise if you were a contender?
A couple of things they did at the World Cup I loved, and we did them in our game against Colchester last night. The quick throw-ins on the count. Obviously with the VAR on yellow cards, second yellows or whatever. So there's quite the substitutions. I love that. Your quick substitutions. All the stuff we want to get out of our game. Other things I'd bring in.
Go on.
I would bring in a 90-second max on VAR across the board. And after 90 seconds, if the VAR can't decide, you go with the referee's first choice. So the referee says penalty, and they can't decide after 90. The buzzer goes, it's a penalty. I think VAR takes far too long and takes the joy out of the game. I'd have more money available for infrastructure for smaller football clubs around the world, not just in the UK. I'm talking Italy's 3rd and 4th divisions, Portugal's. We need at grassroots level, smaller clubs, the Peterboroughs of the world, to have greater facilities, best for our academy and also helping the community as well. I think we need more and more young people being able to play the games. It's getting more and more expensive. So there are a few of the things. I don't think there's enough help for the smaller guy. And I'd also pay quicker on compensation. We've been waiting 12 months to get paid for Ricky J. Jones leaving for Germany last year.
Really?
And, we already got robbed that he left to go abroad under the age of 24. And we were due $500,000, and we've been waiting 12 months, and it's still not been allocated to, you got to pay in 30 days. And I find that astonishing that that's allowed to go on that long.
See, I'd go a step further than you when it comes to VAR. I would just get rid of it altogether. I don't think it's enhanced the game in any way. You go back to that Argentina-Egypt game. They should have been out, Argentina, to disallow that Egypt goal for a foul that was ridiculous down by the corner.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But I don't agree. I think in the modern world, we can't be dinosaurs. We have to take the game forward.
I don't mind the semi-automated offside. That's fine.
Yeah.
VAR still, to me, is still too subject to one person's interpretation of how the rules should be applied.
I get it. It winds up people both sides, and we've goal line technology now. I think it's really good for the game, but I think it takes too long. And I think sometimes, the interpretation, we're sat there watching Sky on a Sunday, and it takes 3.5 minutes, and it never gets added on at the end of the game. That also frustrates me. So, like I said, 90 seconds, that's it, yay or nay. Otherwise, go with the original decision.
I mean, this isn't going to be popular with FIFA, but I would also cap ticket prices for the reason I've said earlier. You can't be charging £7,000-8,000 to go to a World Cup game and therefore pricing out the man on the street, so the atmosphere is as sanitised as it was often at that World Cup.
Yeah, I get that, but that's very difficult to do. I mean, there's a form of socialism in there. It's difficult. You're in a society. Look, I get what you're saying. I agree with you, and I should have agreed stronger earlier. It was very expensive, the World Cup. I think the last one was pretty expensive as well. Do you know what I mean? These ones that are further afield for people to travel, it's not just the price of the ticket, it's the flights. So it is very, very difficult. So I do think there has to be more access. I didn't love in the World Cup final the whole celebrity picture all the time.
Well, that happened. That happened throughout the tour.
Yeah, I know, but that happens everywhere. Every big event you see that, whether it's Wimbledon, whether it's whatever else, it's kind of like puke-a-thon. I don't care if Jay-Z's in the crowd, you know what I mean, at the end of the day. So there was too much of that, and I don't think any seat should cost $1 million or $2 million at a football game. No. I find that astonishing, but someone's willing to pay it, and whilst they are, it's always going to cost like that.
The other thing I would change is the way that qualifying for major tournaments is conducted. I would have pre-qualifying for those smaller nations. What's the point in England playing Andorra, home and away?
As an Irish fan, who's been so frustrated with not seeing us qualifying. I'm seeing some of these teams from around the world going, like, no disrespect to Cape Verde, fantastic what they did.
Well, maybe you need to move confederations.
I don't know what we need to do, but we've missed out on some. We should have been at this World Cup. I mean, ended up beating Portugal, Hungary, and then losing in the playoffs. But I agree with you about the pre-qualifying.
And I would also give England a World Cup. I think it's long overdue since the World Cup.
One of the biggest bugbears for me is the fact that America have had it twice. You go through the various countries who've had it since England last hosted the World Cup. I don't quite understand why. Is that because Great Britain won't put the money up or won't do what's needed? Because it's an absolute travesty. You saw the last Euros and what happened here in the atmosphere, even though COVID tried to spoil that. Yeah. That World Cup in our country would be so good for our industry. It would be so good for our fans. I think everything needs to go behind that to happen. And I'll say this out loud, and I shouldn't say this. Years ago, whatever bribe needed to happen years ago should have happened, because England lost out in billions in revenue. Do you know what I mean? Like, we need World Cups in Britain.
And it'd be brilliant.
I agree with you. It would be fantastic. Not sure as good as America, but it'd be brilliant.
And my final one, and this is controversial, but it sort of plays into the debate we've been having about Thomas Tuchel.
Yep.
I would ban overseas managers from taking charge of a national team. I think it should be our best against their best.
Prejudice from you about
our best against their best.
You can't buy tickets and you can't hire a German or whatever. Alex, you get banned nowadays for that.
Do you not think it should be our best against their best?
There's a word for that. And the dumpers back there are going to start dumping in a second.
Do you disagree then?
I don't love a foreign manager, but
the Irish manager at the moment's foreign. He's probably the best manager we've had for the last 5 years. So I'm not a big fan. You've seen I haven't hired any foreign managers myself. I think England should have a British manager, but you can't ban that, Alex. Not in today's day and age.
Any more?
The Liberals will come after you.
Any more in your
You'll be done.
manifesto? I seem to have put up more arguments than you so far.
No, you have, because I think a lot of the things that have happened, we can talk about stuff and it's never going to happen, but I think some of the changes, the slight changes made at this World Cup, I quite like, and I'd love them introduced in our game, and just little tweaks here and there. But I do think the amount of wealth that FIFA have amassed, UEFA have amassed, and whatever else, there definitely needs to be more of that trickling down because it's not just the Premier League clubs, it's not just the First Division in Spain and Italy. Football is for everyone, as we keep saying. And I'd like to see that spread a bit more and us all improve our facilities.
Does it frustrate you? I mean, we started the programme talking about Morgan Rogers, a product of the EFL in many ways, £117 million signing.
Love it.
Middlesbrough get a bit of that, I think £15 million.
Brilliant.
Sell on.
Yep.
But when you see players, and when we've seen it a few times, Tonali 100 million as well this summer, Elliot Anderson 16 million as well, it doesn't filter down to clubs at your level.
The lack of trickle kills me. So, for example, and this isn't a criticism of Middlesbrough, they've gone out and signed a brilliant striker from Spurs. I'd love them to have signed a brilliant striker from Peterborough, from Leyton Orient, from whatever, and people come on.
I mean, you've been good sellers down the years.
Correct. People come on screaming, and we don't want someone from Leyton Orient or Peterborough. And I'll go, well, actually, Ivan Toney came from Peterborough, so they are out there. So I'd have loved that money to have trickled down, because then Peterborough or Leyton Orient or whatever other League One club, Stevenage, would have gone and spent money in League Two and National League. But that's not a go at Middlesbrough. They might still spend money lower down the pyramid. I'm not frustrated with the price of some of these players. I know people think it's going OTT. I would love to see a lot more investment. People always go, English players are too expensive, when you go down the pyramid and whatever else. And I still say there's great value in our leagues, phenomenal value. And we've seen that over the years. I just don't think there's enough scouting done by the bigger clubs down the leagues.
Are we anywhere nearer to this distribution of wealth being sorted out between the Premier League and the EFL? Is the regulator going to make a difference?
I'm a board member now at the EFL, so I have to be very careful what I say. I'll say that we welcome the regulator. I think it's very important for all three.
Very political here.
Well, I have to. They make you sign things. And I've got a board meeting after this shift, funny enough. I will say that all three parties, whether it be the EFL, the Premier League and the regulator, are working towards, finding a perfect solution that suits all parties. So I am confident. And I think the last thing we need to do as EFL owners or anyone in the EFL is create a war or be slagging off the Premier League or slagging off this like we've seen previous guys do here in talkSPORT. I don't think that helps anyone. And I think common sense needs to prevail, and it's going to be good for the game.
That's probably the calmest you've been.
Well, I've always said it's to be fair, I said this years ago, months ago on my podcast, that, when it comes to negotiating, put me in a room, you might see me as this personality on the radio and whatever else, but I've negotiated a few deals in my life, and calmness is needed. Yes, you can bring fury and aggression at times, but calmness is what often gets things done and dusted. So there's a lot of good, calm people high up in the EFL that we have a lot of trust in as owners. And I honestly think the Premier League, the regulator, and the EFL are getting there.
There's been a bit of change, isn't there? Because Trevor Birch has left.
Trev's still there. He is leaving, but he's still there.
Yeah.
And he's on a call with us today, I believe.
Yeah.
And he will be replaced. And look, he's a legend, the EFL, and what he's done and whatever else. And, we obviously now have to look to the future. So we're excited about that too and the opportunity. So we as owners in the EFL see America, other places where we can really grow our game and grow the revenue. And obviously a deal with the Premier League. We want to do so many things, and sustainability, so that, clubs aren't losing 6-7 million every year, which is absolutely ludicrous in League One and League Two, never mind the Championship. There's so many things we want to fix, and there's things we think we can fix.
You mentioned America there.
Yep.
Am I right in thinking when we had you on last summer, you were in favour of the possibility of EFL games being played in the States?
I wasn't against it like everyone else, because, like I keep trying to tell the fans, for the EFL to have better facilities, cheaper tickets, keep our fans happy, we need more money. Right now, the average club in League One gets about £1.5 million a year in TV money. That hasn't gone up in a long time, not a lot. Inflation's killed us in every other level. Wages have gone through the roof, but revenue hasn't gone through the roof. We have to grow our game internationally. The only way we do that is by going to those, like the World Cup. The audience in America is there, and we have a lot of America owners now in the EFL. So I understand people's frustration, but you can't play a game there. The NFL have done it. They're playing 4 or 5 games all over the world, London, Spain, China. They're doing it everywhere. And every TV deal the NFL have done since they've done the international games has been bigger and better. Look at how many new stadiums you saw this summer the World Cup played in. Look at the infrastructure. Look at the facilities. That's because they've grown their game. The only way we grow our game is the odd game abroad.
A bit of breaking news, by the way, coming out of the Championship. Steve Nixon, once of Newcastle scouting fame, he's joined Wrexham as Director of Football.
Good move.
Good appointment.
Yeah, good appointment. To be fair, I've been dealing with Sean. We signed some Wrexham, did some Wrexham business this summer. Sean was obviously ex-AFL, Sean Harvey. He's been brilliant to deal with. But Wrexham are a massive football club now. They're going to places that other clubs wish they could go to. So, you know, there's a guy with a lot of experience. I think they spent a lot of money last year. They're going to spend a lot of money this summer. For me, Wrexham will get promoted this year.
I finally got round to watching the documentary on the plane, actually, on the way back from...
Did you like it?
From the States? Yeah, I did. Yeah.
They're likeable guys,
Yeah, they
aren't they?
are.
They're very likeable guys. So, look, the one thing you always say about owners is, did they stand up with... Did they do what they said they're going to do? And no matter what you think of the Wrexham owners, or whether you get upset with Wrexham and all the money and the sponsorship is, those owners have done exactly what they said they'd do. And they've done it for that town, they've done it for the stadium, they've done it with the training ground. I have a lot of players that played at Wrexham. I've got friends who were there. Josh Windass, a friend of mine, he's at Wrexham. We speak like every week and whatever. That club's just gone bang, 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 bang. Yeah. And that's because of the guys, the documentary and everything. And of course, loads of us are envious in the EFL. We'd love some of that shirt sale action.
Absolutely.
But fair play to them. If they get to the Premier League, that's a brilliant story.
Yeah, it really is. Darragh MacAnthony with us until 1 o'clock this morning. When we come back, we're going to be talking transfers.
I'd separate what happened in the World Cup from my club. So if he wants to stay, I'd keep him. He's a really good player. He plays well for us. Really don't like what he did in the World Cup. If he wants to stay, keep him. If he wants to go, like any player that wants to go, let him go. But I would, 100%. We need experienced players with a new manager. We need continuity. So do I like what he did? No. Do I think he's going to get loads of stick wherever he goes? Maybe some at Stamford Bridge? Yes. But if he wants to stay, get your head down and play for us. That's what I think.
And how do you feel about, obviously, Alonso coming in as manager? Couple of signings so far. You get John Stones in the building. You feel good about things for this season?
I feel that after 4 years or 4.5 years of trial and error by American owners, that at last they're appointing a manager, not a coach. The only thing I would say is that we need to bring in some experience. If we bring in someone like John Stones, the experience he's got on a free, and also we don't need I hate to say, but fairly average sporting directors. We need a couple of really good quality sporting directors. But yeah, Morgan Rogers, really exciting to get Alonso. And at last we've got a manager, not a coach. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this season.
Where does Morgan Rogers play in the 11?
I think he's been told he's going to play off the left.
Is he?
I believe so.
Okay.
Interesting to see how that works with Cole Palmer. But if you listen to what Morgan Rogers said yesterday, Cole Palmer was constantly on the phone.
They're close.
Pleading with
So
him to
are they going to play with 2 10s, man?
Anthony Joshua is on the road to destiny. But first, there is danger. Prenga, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. And AJ knows, one moment, one mistake, one punch will change history. AJ is back. But there is danger before destiny.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. GambleAware.org.
Yeah, it's that time again today on talkSPORT. We're giving you the chance to walk away with up to £1,000 in association with our friends at BetMGM. Joining us now, randomly selected from all the online entries, is Craig. How are you, Craig?
Hi, good mate. How are you?
Really good. Now, the guy who came on yesterday got 3 out of 5, but the 2 he got wrong were tap-ins, really. So I've got greater expectation from you. Here's how it works. I'll ask you a total of 5 football-related questions. For each question you get right, you'll win £200. So the maximum you can walk away with is £1,000. Are you ready?
Yep, go for it.
Okay, let's start. Which team was the only team not to score a single goal at this year's World Cup? That's a toughie, actually.
Oh. No got a clue. Pass.
Panama is the answer. That is harder than any of the 5 we had yesterday. In their run to the 2026 Champions League final, which German giant did PSG dramatically knock out in the semis?
Bayern Munich.
Correct. Making his highly anticipated World Cup debut, Erling Haaland scored how many goals for Norway before they were knocked out by England?
Scored how many goals in this World Cup?
Yeah.
7.
Correct. In England's 2-0 victory over Panama in the group stage of this year's World Cup, who scored England's second goal in the 67th minute?
Bellingham.
Kane. Which club did Man City beat to crown them winners of the 2026 FA Cup at Wembley?
FA Cup at Wembley.
Who were the runners-up?
Crystal Palace. I can't know, but
Chelsea. So you got 2 questions correctly answered there. So £400 winging its way to you. Thanks for joining us, Craig. We'll be playing again tomorrow. Simply head to talksport.com, competitions to enter. That's all thanks to BetMGM, 18+, gambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Good to hear Darragh back on talkSPORT. Always speaks a lot of sense. I wish we could have him as an owner instead of those 2 hopeless Americans, says Mark, a Chelsea fan from Newcastle. Love Darragh on the radio, but Ivan Toney is from Northampton. He always claims him.
Oh, behave yourself. He played 5 minutes at Northampton's first team, but he was made in their academy, so I'm going to give them massive credit for that. However, after being on loan 19 times as a Lone Ranger, it was the one and only Peterborough that finally got him the Golden Boot.
Do you still speak to him?
Me personally, no.
Yeah, no. Just wonder where his head's at after the World Cup.
Phil does.
Yeah.
Our media officer, press officer.
Just got that couple of minutes at the end when England.
I was gutted because I just felt there were games you thought you need that. You need to hold up the ball. And the other thing about Ivan Toney was screaming. He was our best defender at Peterborough at times. Him in our box on corners and set pieces. You look at Argentina late on, everything that was going on. That guy heads away double-decker buses. Yeah, it was another weapon. Do you know what I mean? So disappointed for him.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be disappointed as well. Not as disappointed as Kobe Manu, of course. He didn't play.
But that $1 million a week he's earning tax-free out there, he'll get over the disappointment quickly.
He'll be okay. Is that him done now? You don't see him coming back to English football anytime soon?
I think he needs to be there 3 years, doesn't he?
Right.
3 years, because you come in earlier than 3 years, you've got to give half to...
Is this going to be his 3rd season coming up?
I think... He's done a year and a half, has he?
Yeah.
He's done a year and a half, so I think he's got a bit more time to go. Because you wouldn't be giving half of that to the taxman.
On the subject of Saudi Arabia, we are going to talk transfers now. Crescencio Somerville.
Wow.
Roma have had 3 offers they've put into West Ham. The latest was worth £40 million, as I understand it. Al Hilal, late yesterday, came in with a £68 million offer for the Netherlands international. And he's going to be paid £300,000 a week.
Not a lot for Saudi, though, is it?
Tax-free?
Yeah, and it's $600,000 a week, basically. But it's amazing, isn't it, that West Ham have done great business, haven't they? What have they got now? 168 million or 150 million for 2 players? So they can pretty much rebuild and get back up to the Premier League.
And it looks like they're going to keep... Well, they are going to keep Jarrod Bowen, which is...
They should walk that league.
Massive for them in the Championship.
Yeah.
If you're Somerville, though,
sure,
at this age...
Yep, you take the money.
You wouldn't go to Roma? Top club in Italy, European football.
You're going to get $100,000 a week, 150 after, and tax in, I believe, Europe and some of those is even bigger than Britain. So you're probably going to earn $70,000. He's, what is he, 24 now, 25? So you've got 4, 5, 6 years left at the top. If he's in it for the dough and the money, I always said this about Henderson, you take the money. You're not going to turn that kind of money down. We played a Saudi team last week in Marbella, battered them. Should have been like 5-6-0. It was 0-0. We played some big players in that team.
You mentioned Ben Neon. Was it? Yeah.
Ben Rana was in the team, a few others. And I'm looking at it going, some of these players are on 400, 500 grand a week. And they're not motivated. No. You can see that when we play. I'm talking about we battered them. We had 70% possession in both halves and we had 2 different 11s.
Yeah.
And they had 3 players from the Saudi World Cup team that were there as well.
Really?
So, you know, the money, their manager, an agent texted me, a friend of mine, and said, the manager's on 14 million a year. 14 million a year. Let me tell you, I'd have sold myself and got in the back of the coach and gone to Saudi.
On the subject of West Ham, they want to try and keep Mavropanos. They've offered him a new contract.
And now they're in a position where they don't need to sell.
No. But
That's a good spot.
One player they do want to get rid of is Jean-Claire Todibo. He had a fallout with Nuno Espirito Santo at the end of last season. I think he was taken off early on in the penultimate game against Newcastle. Basically refused to play on the last day of the season as they were relegated. So,
well, you're in the know. Have they got any takers?
I think there's a little bit of interest from Italy, but only on loan at this stage.
Okay. And what else is going on behind the scenes at West Ham? I mean, are they obviously after all the briefs and stuff? Are they in a good spot?
It feels like the club is pulling in the right direction. There's less people trying to have their say.
Good.
You know, it always felt like there were too many cooks there. Obviously, Karen Brady has left.
Sure.
David Sullivan's taken a back seat, although from what I'm told, he's driving a hard bargain when it comes to selling his shares to Daniel Kretinsky, the Czech minority owner. Is that legally? We should move on. Let's talk about Alejandro Garnacho to Aston Villa on loan initially with an obligation to buy. Gabby Agbonlahor's head has absolutely fallen off. When I told him 3 days ago, keep an eye on Garnacho for Villa, he said no chance.
There's more clubs than Tiger Woods, that kid, isn't he?
I mean,
he's like...
Do you understand the attraction? By all accounts, this is driven personally by Unai Emery. Feels he can get the best out of Garnacho.
I'll say this about Emery. He's such a good manager that he got a tune out of Rashford, which probably got Rashford a move to Barcelona. Would you say that's true?
Yeah.
He's got a tune out of a couple of players where you thought, hang on a sec, we think they're finished. So if there's anyone who could probably get the best out of Garnacho, it might be him. He's obviously a player's manager, right? He's obviously very, very good. Some managers are tactically astute. They're not really a player's manager. He looks like a player's manager. So I'm not a Garnacho fan. I think, him and his agent have,
he's got an inflated idea.
They've stolen a career, at some big clubs from doing something early on at United out of that academy. It hasn't worked at Chelsea. If Chelsea can get him there and they get their money back, it's good business.
And on the subject of Chelsea, I know this is a potential signing you really like the sound of. John Stones played a big part in England getting to that World Cup semi-final, available on a free after leaving Manchester City. Chelsea seem to be showing genuine interest in taking him to Stamford Bridge.
I heard an interview with him where he said he was actually fit most of last season. You as insiders, what is the information?
I think
Pep lose faith in him?
I think we just assumed he was injured.
Yeah,
to be honest.
as did I.
Really go digging too much.
So, does anyone know what happened there? Because Pep loved him when he was like in top condition.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's a really strange situation. Yeah, actually, I thought his performances at the World Cup were okay.
I'd love Liverpool to sign him. We have two centre backs, young ones. We paid a lot of money for one, a lot of money for the other one who did his ACL last year. We obviously have Van Dijk.
Yeah.
And obviously then Joe Gomez has got injury proneness to his resume. I would love Stones with Van Dijk. Just to bet in those two younger players who are injured and coming back from injury. What are you going to pay him? I don't know, 2 million, 3, 4 million, 5 million a year.
Could you even justify a pay-as-you-play deal, potentially?
No, he's not going to take that. No, you can give him...
Because he's a free agent.
So you can give him a 2-year deal and probably pay him 10, 12 million for the 2 years in total.
Yeah.
That's a bargain. I thought after the first game, I thought he got better as the World Cup went on.
You mentioned Liverpool. One name that was mentioned to me this morning as being offered to Liverpool and indeed Chelsea is Elias Zabani, ex-Bournemouth defender, went to PSG, didn't really play a lot of football.
Yeah.
But obviously known to Richard Hughes, the sporting director.
Yeah, and the manager and everyone else there. Was he there before Areola?
Yeah, no, he played under Areola. Yeah.
Oh, he did, right? Yeah, probably makes sense, but for me, I'd love John Stones.
There you go. You're up to date with the latest from the transfer window. Stay tuned to talksport.com. We'll also have a daily transfer window show on our YouTube channel. You won't miss any of the big breaking transfer deals. Coming up next here on Crook and MacAnthony, we are going to be talking boxing as Anthony Joshua's return to the ring edges ever closer. What does the future hold for Rashford? My understanding is that he ideally would still like to leave United, still not particularly happy with the hierarchy there over the circumstances of his departure this time last year. And while there is a slim chance that Michael Carrick reintegrates him into his first team squad, I think United ideally would like to sell as well. In my notebook on the talkSPORT website today, I talk about Fenerbahce in Turkey being interested, but Rashford doesn't seem particularly keen on that move. It all feels a little bit like limbo, Kev.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think it was the same last year, and you know, he come up trumps with the Barcelona move. Where did that come from last season? And you think, go there, and then you have the season, and was he up and down? You sort of got mixed reviews, didn't you, from there, and whether they were going to then, you know, take him on this year and sign him. But I think probably the biggest block and the stumbling block for himself is the actual money they're going to have to give him. You know, and I think that's the problem. Do Man United want to go, you know, okay, we'll let him leave, but, you know, and take a hit on his wages and pay half of his wages so they can get him out? I think that's what they probably had to do in the last couple of seasons when he went to Villa and now Barcelona. So, yeah, it's all a bit of a mess, isn't it, considering, you know, being a Manchester boy, you don't really like to see it, but it's all really a bit of a mess, and I don't really see an outcome, and where it's going to get an outcome. I think it's someone's...
Talk Sport News.
Good afternoon, it's Emma Kerwin. 2 men jailed for killing a police officer could be eligible for early release under a scheme to ease prison overcrowding. PC Andrew Harper died on duty in 2019 while responding to a burglary. Chris Phillips, former head of the National Counter-Terrorism Security Office, told us the move throws the justice system into chaos.
The issue is not only the fact that this means there is very little punishment, it just throws the court system and the police and everything, the criminal justice system, into chaos.
A £2 cap on most bus journeys in England. That's what Andy Burnham's announced from next year to help with the cost of living. Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander says it will be funded by moving money away from foreign climate projects.
This is about the team pulling together across government and addressing the issues that really matter. And he wasn't going to waste time spending months debating these issues. We were going to get on in the first couple of days.
But the Shadow Chancellor claims the PM doesn't have a clear plan. The NHS trust that treated Valdo Calacane, who stabbed 3 people to death in Nottingham, is being investigated for corporate manslaughter. The paranoid schizophrenic has been given an indefinite hospital order for the attacks in 2023. And an EasyJet flight made an emergency landing after a 10-person brawl broke out on board. It was coming back to the UK from Tenerife last night.
Talk Sport Sports Headlines with Bostik. For professional grade sealants with easy application and a perfect finish, pros trust Bostik.
Eckert slapped with FA Spygate charges and Rodgers raring to go at Stamford Bridge. Ben's back at 1.
Anthony Joshua is on the road to destiny. But first, there is danger. Prenga, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. And AJ knows, one moment, one mistake, one punch will change history.
British heavyweight boxer Anthony Joshua was involved in a car accident.
I was walking with giants, man, that kept me protected, kept me shielded, and I know what I'm going to do what's right for them.
Serious. It is lights out! Wow! Anthony Joshua!
They told me, if you beat Prenga, we'll give you Tyson Fury. I said, please, give me that contract.
He's got destructive power, so as soon as that shot lands, it's over.
He looks in the shape of his life. He's been training at Usyk's camp.
Anthony Joshua!
Seen as the final hurdle before that potential showdown with Tyson Fury.
Fury is what he says he is. Maybe he should step forward and Frank should put his fighter forward instead of worrying about what I'm up to.
Yes, this Saturday, Anthony Joshua's comeback starts as he faces Christian Prenga. Let's look ahead to the big fight now with DAZN. Delighted to say we are joined all the way from Jeddah by talkSPORT's fight pundit Spencer Oliver, live from the media day over in Saudi Arabia. How's the atmosphere beginning to build, Spence?
Yeah, gents, how are you? Yeah, I'm over here in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, the Fighters Hotel, actually, and the atmosphere is beginning to build. We've interviewed Josh Kelly. He's looking forward to defending his newly crowned world champion and his IBF belt. And we've also interviewed Christian Prenga, the opponent of Anthony Joshua. And he says, forget the Joshua versus Tyson Fury fight. That's not happening. Why is it not happening? Because I'm here to win. Let's see how it goes. But yeah, building up nicely here.
Spence, I've got a couple of questions for you. One about Prenga. Is he legit? Is this going to be a 2-round demolition for Joshua? And the second question is, Joshua's path seems to be all these fights, but none of them are leading to any titles. Are world titles irrelevant nowadays, particularly at the heavyweight level? It just surprises me sometimes.
Well, to answer the latter question there, Darragh, I think that it's all roads lead to Tyson Fury. I think that Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, they both had incredible careers. They've dominated this heavyweight division. They've been big characters of this heavyweight division for the last decade or so. The only thing that we haven't had from both of these guys is they haven't boxed each other. The fight has been off, it's been on, it's been off. Politics of the sport have got in the way. Now they have one opponent each in the way. The fight has been signed for November. Tyson Fury is actually boxing out in Thailand on the 24th, which is on Friday night, a fight that he's doing for his Netflix series. He's boxing Marius Wack. Anthony Joshua boxes here in Saudi on the 25th. If both guys come through, we get that fight in November. And I'm hearing, guys, that Tyson Fury will be here coming to the Anthony Joshua fight afterwards, and they will be announcing that fight. So watch this space.
That was going to be my next question to you, actually. The fact he's fighting on the Friday night, he's got plenty of time, doesn't he, to make his way to Saudi and make an entrance and start to build up the intrigue into this big showdown.
Well, it's pure Tyson Fury style, isn't it? You know, we know what Tyson Fury is all about. He's WWE, he's the showman. He creates a lot of interest, and you can't knock that with Tyson Fury. And I think that he will make that big entrance. Anthony Joshua, if he's victorious on Saturday night against Christian Prenga, expect Fury to be here. Expect him to jump in the ring. Big announcements, fireworks, all of the drama. We're going to get everything on Saturday night.
And AJ has been speaking to our friends at DAZN ahead of this big fight. He was asked if there's still dreams he's yet to achieve.
I believe that the undisputed target is the one, because I think in my mind, what's beneath that? Unification. What's beneath that? World champion. So let's set the bar where I know I can go.
And it's a big bar.
It's a big bar, but I believe that it's one that can be achieved. And on the way to that, I become world champ. On the way to that, I become unified champ. And on the way to that, I got an opportunity to fight for the undisputed champion. So it's a great journey. It's a great progression that I can see happening all in front of me.
Yeah, that's where I'm surprised, where Spence, I don't know if Spence is still with us, where I thought, Usyk's pretty much stepping down. His last fight's coming up, I think. So you got a chance of undisputed. So I get the whole Fury-Joshua thing, and I get the showmanship. I get why everyone wants to see it. But, for me as a fighter, if I'm in the game, Joshua's a 2-time world champion. This is a chance to go 3-time, be undisputed, take all the belts back. Obviously, after what happened against Dubois. And there's a lot of good young British fighters that will have their own argument and point to say in that kind of chase. So when are we going to see either Joshua or Fury actually fight for a world title again?
Well, do you know what? I think it's all open now, isn't it? As you say, Alexander Usyk has vacated those belts. They've become scattered. There is going to be opportunity for fighters. Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury have got this fight made in November, but they're both highly ranked with all the governing bodies. And like you heard Anthony Joshua saying there, I mean, the last 6 months, what a journey this kid has been on. And I think it's quite inspirational that he's actually back in the ring as soon as he is, after all the troubles he had and losing his close friends out in Nigeria. I mean, 6 months, what a turnaround that is. But, he's talking about wanting to do it for those and, wanting to continue, the fire burning in his belly, wanting to become undisputed. And that's what you want to hear a fighter saying, by the way. Yeah. And Tyson Fury's speaking similar as well. It's not all about all roads lead to AJ versus Fury. The guys are talking beyond that, winning world titles again, unifying world titles, undisputed, all of that. And I think that they've still got the ability, by the way, to do that. Yeah, we've got a new generation of fighters coming through, but they are still very much at the top of their game. A lot of people talking about them being well over the hill. That's not true. They still compete. They're still very, very much elite heavyweights.
We're not giving Prenga much of a chance here, Spence, but it is sport. He's got a puncher's chance. What happens to Anthony Joshua if the worst was to occur and he loses this fight?
Well, Alex, that's exactly what it is. This game is all about opportunity and what you do with that opportunity. You know, Christian Prenga's been talking about, you know, wanting this fight of Anthony Joshua. He sees those vulnerabilities. This kid has had 21 fights. He's only lost to 1, but out of his 20 victories, he's had 20 knockouts. That makes him a dangerous heavyweight. And he'll be going in there and giving it everything, rolling the dice and trying to clip Anthony Joshua on the chin. Joshua has to stay switched on here. He has to stay focused because the kid does carry that punch power. But if Prenga was to win this one, you would have to rank it up there with, like, when Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson, like, you know, or if Rico Verhoeven would have beat Alexander Usyk, and he pushed him very close there. If you use that as a comparison, by the way, no one give Rico Verhoeven a chance, did they, going against Alexander Usyk?
Or Andy
and look
Ruiz.
what he done with that. Usyk took his eye off the ball. Yeah, absolutely. Andy Ruiz is another one as well. So Prenga sort of falls in that category. But never say never. This is heavyweight boxing.
Yeah, and you whispered to me there, Darragh, when I asked the question, done, if AJ was to lose this
I mean,
fight.
with all due respect, I'm a big AJ fan. I was gutted, you know, the Dubois fight. I thought he'd win that and win the world title. And was his previous 3 fights, he looked like he had that eye of the tiger again that he hadn't had for a while. So I think if he gets humbled and beaten by Prenga, and I get his record at 20 KOs and all of that, we don't know the quality of the KOs. But if AJ gets taken out, I think he's done. Same for Tyson Fury. I don't know who he's fighting in Thailand or whether he's doing Muay Thai or whatever he's doing out
Marius
there.
Wack, who has a record of 39 wins from 51 fights, 20 by knockout.
I just think Joshua, if he loses this fight, if he gets knocked out or it's an Andy Ruiz style shock, I do think he's done.
How's the rest of your day shaping up, Spencer, at the press conference? So if you want to come back to Darragh first off.
No, I was going to say I totally agree with you with that one, by the way. Both guys are, and they realise that as well. They're in the twilight of their careers. This is the last roll of the dice for both of them. They've been big characters, as I say, like over the last decade. But they both know a loss here, and it's the end of the road.
The promoters will have a heart attack if both of them lose these fights, or one of them does.
Can you imagine? How's it looking for you over the next 24 hours or so, Spence?
Yes, we're very, very busy. We've got an interview with Eddie Hearn later on. We've got a sit-down interview with Anthony Joshua as well. That's going to be very good to see where he is, not just physically, but mentally, and build up to this fight. So, yeah, we've got lots going on at the moment. We're just waiting for Hamza Shiraz to come in as well. He's defending his WBO World Super Middleweight title. So, loads going on for us. And we've got a podcast out tonight as well. And you can get all of that on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel.
Just a final one. Just watching that clip of the interview that AJ gave with DAZN, he does look very relaxed, and he looks in a good place considering all that he's been through out of the ring.
Guys, honestly, I sat down with him, I don't know, what was it, 2 weeks ago or so? And it was the first time I'd seen him, and I didn't know what I was going to expect from him. I know him personally outside of boxing, before he started boxing. And to see him physically, mentally, the way he was switched on, the fire still burning in his belly, I was quite surprised, actually, after, you know, all the trials and tribulations he's been through in the last 6 months. I didn't know what I was going to get with him. But what I saw was the Anthony Joshua of old. And if we can get that, and if he can transfer that into the boxing ring, we get a great fight.
Yeah, brilliant stuff as always, Spence. Thanks for joining us. Look forward to seeing all your content over in Jeddah on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. That was a look ahead to AJ versus Prenga with DAZN. Join DAZN Ultimate for 185 plus fight nights and 12 plus pay-per-views every year, including Joshua versus Prenga, all included at no extra cost. Buy now at dazn.com.
Big fight build-up on talkSPORT with DAZN. This Saturday, it's danger before destiny for Anthony Joshua. Joshua versus Prenga, live exclusively on DAZN.
So just 15 more minutes to go until the producers can take their finger from off the dump button. Darragh MacAnthony staying with me, Alex Crook, until 1 o'clock. I want to ask you next up, bearing in mind that John Duran has just changed clubs again, how much you care about
You want to be his agent,
attitude.
right? You want to be his agent, wouldn't you? The paydays you've had, honest to goodness.
That's coming next on talkSPORT.
players, Argentina, to be better than that.
They've got some of the players, but I think they've found a way in this tournament to just keep getting by. They were winning in extra time. They were coming from 2 goals down. They did it round after round. They even did it against us. A goal down. They scored 2 in the last sort of 10 minutes, and they've got over the line again. And I think they thought, right, we're just going to have to keep it going exactly the same way. Let's just try and get over the line. But I've got, as World Cup finals goes, it was one of the worst I think you'll ever see.
What did you make of how they reacted at the end, Argentina? We saw obviously Paredes getting involved. We saw the whole Argentinian team turning their back on Spain when they lifted it. It was just from beginning to end, even after the final whistle. It was just nasty from Argentina.
Yeah, it was. They've definitely not won any fans over, have they, this tournament?
No.
Argentina. They might be the most hated nation in world football.
I've changed my mind now on Messi and Ronaldo. I was team Messi for a long, long time.
Back to Ronaldo.
I saw the bit where Cucurella sort of covered his mouth but didn't. And then Messi almost went to the head teacher and was grasping oh, he should get detention.
I'm disappointed, and honestly, man,
you don't need to do that.
I love Leo Messi, right? He is everything I want from a footballer, but that was horrible.
Why did he do that?
I don't know why.
Do that.
It's a World Cup final. I think he's desperate and he's reaching for everything that he possibly can. But you don't need to do that, Leo. Don't sink to those levels. I think Argentina outdid themselves in horribleness. Like what we saw at full time it's as bad as it can get.
Anthony Joshua is on the road to destiny. But first, there is danger. Prenga, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. And AJ knows, one moment, one mistake, one punch will change history. AJ is back. But there is danger before destiny.
You are listening to Crook and MacAnthony on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. I want to talk a bit more about transfers now. John Duran, who's had a checkered career, I think it's fair to say, has just joined Benfica on a season-long loan from Saudi Arabian side Al Nassr. He's only 22 years of age. He's now had 7 clubs.
Ludicrous.
John Duran. Benfica will pay a 5.19 million loan fee for the Colombian international. It also includes the option to make the move permanent for £25.5 million. This, 18 months after he joined Al Nassr from Aston Villa for £71 million.
He's like a young Lukaku, isn't he, with all the moves? Lukaku had about 10 loans, then he was sold, and obviously, what was it, Everton, Man United, Italy, Chelsea, back to Italy. So, it's amazing, really. I mean, you'd love to be his agent, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, the money he must be making. So, I don't know. What is it with these youngsters? He should have dominated the Premier League. All the physical
attributes. He's got all the attributes and all the talent.
The attributes. The mistake was moving to Saudi. What was he, 21?
Yeah.
But I get it. I said earlier, you take the money. But
I think by going out on loan, obviously, that helps get around the tax implications.
As long as he's not back in the UK, but it depends where he wants to live. Where's he originally from?
Colombia.
Colombia, right. So I don't know what the laws are there, but I guess, he obviously doesn't love Saudi. He's taken the money. He's done it on purpose and obviously gone, actually, I don't want to be here. And now they've got to send him everywhere. He's been to Turkey as well, I think. I mean, it's a good move, Benfica. Marco Silva, the new manager there now. Big club in Portugal. European football next season. I would imagine. What did he go from Villa to Saudi for?
71 million.
Yeah, I would imagine the Saudis are going to want 40, 50 million minimum for him, aren't they? But he ain't coming back to the Premier League anytime soon.
Would it put you off? You know, obviously, when you look into
we had Ivan Toney.
Yeah.
He had like 11 clubs or whatever. He'd been on loan everywhere. We just knew that he'd never settled. And the first thing we said to Ivan and his dad, Newcastle wanted him out on loan again. And we were like, nah. And the player was willing to go out on loan again, and there were other clubs in. And we said, at some stage, you have to make the EFL your home. Stop being a lone ranger.
Yeah.
Couple of years here, and then you'll fly. And that's what you got to do. And to be fair, that's the right way. So, wouldn't necessarily put me off, but obviously you'd be doing a lot of due diligence, as we do nowadays, where you're ringing basically everyone from the groundsman to the managers, the coaches, the teammates. I don't know. He could be a great lad. He could be just being badly advised.
I'm told he's a pain in the backside, John.
Well,
Duran.
there's that too. But
And that's why Unai Emery couldn't wait to get shot of him.
Look, I'm not questioning your sources. Not that they're not questionable at times, but I also know a lot of younger players nowadays, and this makes me cry, do as their agents tell them. I had a deal done for a player, I thought, about 6 weeks ago, and I was dealing with a player. I was dealing with another ex-teammate that was helping me, and in the end, the agent came on and said, listen, you're not hearing me. The player will go where I tell him to go.
Wow.
And do as I tell him to do. And I was heartbroken going, this player's 22, and his parents need to get hold of this. Because this is what happens.
Really?
Sad. And that could be, I don't know about John.
How much obviously there's more data now available than ever before. I don't know how data-driven your recruitment is.
We were data-driven before it was even a thing.
But you still need to do the character test.
Oh, are you joking me? My guys, I have 2 guys work for me. And every day I could show you a stream right now. Yesterday there was 300 names coming up, data, all the stats bomb, all the usual crap everyone uses. And that's great. But as Barry and me would always say, your eyes don't tell lies. So you still need to have the eye test and actually go watch the player. And after that, then, the amount of people we're now trying to ring. Some clubs, I know you want to go to break, whatever else.
No,
some clubs, a big thing they're doing now, and this is, I don't know if it's out there in the open, they're doing these mental acuity tests, I think they're called, where now they're making players do a survey and almost do, and some clubs, I hear, are hiring shrinks to sit and talk to the player even before you've agreed to sign them, to get a real character profile on them, and doing it with managers. I've had managers send me some of the tests that they've been given that were sent to them before an interview. And these tests are all about, they're like common sense tests, but they're not. And it's to see if you're a psychopath, if you're high maintenance, low maintenance. This is the world we live in now.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because,
it does and it doesn't.
Football is big business.
Look, I'd worry if my son was 20 and he was getting a move to a football club and the club came on and said, look, we want him to sit with a shrink and he'd have a conversation. I'd be like, well, he's had a good upbringing. He's a level-headed boy. Well, 2 of the clubs want to buy him. They don't want him to sit and talk to a shrink. So, look, each to their own. I have nothing against therapy. I know a lot of people in therapy, you included. And I think,
we'll be after this show.
If it's good for a player and it's good for whatever, use it by all means. But things are changing now in recruitment.
Now, I mentioned Gabby Agbonlahor not happy about the prospect of Aston Villa signing Alejandro Garnacho. Let's see what he had to say on John Duran. And actually, Gabby believes that his career path since leaving Villa shows it was the right call to move him on.
When he left Aston Villa, everyone was a bit annoyed, Villa fans, but the manager done the right thing. Left Aston Villa to Al Nassr in January 2025, 71 million. Since then, Jeff, he's been on loan at Fenerbahce, Zenit, and now Benfica. And there's a buy option in the loan of 22 million. He's 22 years of age. In 17 months, look at what's happened to him. Sometimes players are bad eggs, and well done on Unai Emery on getting him out.
Do you agree with that?
Harsh, but probably true. But I imagine media back in the day could have said the same about Gabs. You don't know. So the amount of times we've heard a player's a bad egg, and we've had them, and they're not.
Really?
Early on, Lee Tomlin, was high maintenance, this, that, whatever else.
Because he's a different character.
You would never describe him as a bad egg.
Yeah.
But some people might say that. The amount of people that meet me and go, you're so different in person to what we think and what we hear and da-da-da-da-da. So I think it's unfair. And I don't know if Gabby knows personally if the player's a bad egg. But, it's a bit like Simon saying earlier someone was weak. Unless you know a person, I think, it's easy from afar. What do they say? People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. It's really easy to tag somebody with the name of being a bad egg, a bad this, a bad that. Walk in my shoes for a mile and, then you'll know who I am.
Let me chuck this one at you because we've been talking about Enzo Fernandez and whether Chelsea fans want him moved on. Chelsea also interested in signing Valentin Barco from Strasbourg, their sister club. He was the Argentine midfielder that Jude Bellingham slapped on the back of the head at the World Cup.
Yeah.
And he was on the wind-up, wasn't he, despite the fact that he didn't actually get on the pitch?
He was, yeah. Look. I mean, what, you wouldn't sign him at Man United? I mean, what? I understand everyone wants angels. I understand everyone wants a perfect dressing room and no bad eggs. Now, we're going to end up with a game in an industry with no characters. The way this is going, the way the media, everyone wants to vilify people and players and whatever, you're going to end up with the most boring game. The Premier League in 10 years' time will be full of choir boys and angels and politically correct people and whatever else. And it's going to be dull. And it's not going to be good for our industry and your job prospects. So, for me, you still need some characters in the game.
And are there enough characters in the game?
No, there's not enough characters in the game. We're losing them.
I mean, you've got a big one in Barry Fry.
100%. Baz is 82. He's probably got about 30 years left, but he's still going strong. But there's not enough characters in the game, and we are losing them because people are afraid of being cancelled. People are getting cancelled. People are getting fired. People are getting called bad eggs. I just think we have to be very bloody careful because our game will become just boring.
Do managers want mavericks these days?
No, not enough of them because managers don't have the cojones, a lot of them don't, to deal with a maverick. And I love a maverick. I love a player with a bit of je ne sais quoi. We've always had that at 10 at Peterborough. I think it's what puts bums on seats, and I think it's what's missing at times from clubs. And mavericks can be controlled.
One more to run by you before we leave. You only got a couple of minutes of the programme left. Leicester City's owners apparently exploring a sale of the club a decade after winning the Premier League title. Of course, they will start the season in League One. Their fans not at all happy with the way the club has been run over the last few years.
Yeah.
Does it make sense to get out now?
I feel for him and what happened with his dad and everything that's happened since, and the success they've had there. And he's probably at that low point every owner gets to where he's getting hammered because all clubs go up, go down, unless you're one of the top 6 or 7 big clubs or whatever else. This happens in football, and then fans finally get to you. And he's had so much success and so many highs. Those lows of the back-to-back relegations probably have finished him off. So I hope he doesn't, because I think he's been a good owner for Leicester. You go to their training ground, you go see the success. But if he does, I wish him the best, and maybe recharge your batteries and come buy another football club. Because the one thing he's always done is paid his bills, and him and his dad have brought success to that football club, regardless whether they're in League One. They won't be for long.
And they've got Russell Martin in there as manager now.
Yeah,
needs to rebuild his reputation.
I'm a Russ fan.
As I am.
He had a bad time at Rangers, and I think he'll put that right. So hopefully it's the Peterborough Leicester win double going up. We did that 17 years ago. My daughter was born. They pipped us to the title in League One.
Wow.
And we beat them 2-0 that season and went above them with 4 games to go. So we'd like that again, please.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. Darragh, been a pleasure.
Thank you. Till tomorrow.
At times as well. And you're back alongside me 10 o'clock tomorrow?
As long as you pay my tab tonight, yep, absolutely.
We'll see you then. This has been Crook and MacAnthony on talkSPORT.
I watched a lot of Marcus Rashford at Barcelona. I think it was a successful loan, Jeff. He played 43 times in the league and Champions League together, 13 goals, 10 assists. I'm just surprised teams haven't bid for him. I don't understand the Gordon transfer. I really don't. I feel Rashford is a better option than Gordon. He's 28. Is it the wages? Are we looking at someone that maybe his contract, if he's got a year left at Manchester United, the wages are too much for clubs to maybe sign him on a 4-year deal? Is he getting closer to that 30 mark as well? The contract will be something really strange going on there. But whoever signs him has got a fantastic player because he looks like he's in a better mind frame as well. I look at him before the World Cup. He's at Inter Miami doing extra training. At Barcelona, we hear nothing negative about Marcus Rashford. He's in a better headspace being away from Manchester. So if I'm him and I'm his agent, does he look at another club abroad to get away from any distractions that he might have back at home?
Do you think he may have to settle for another loan deal?
It's hard, isn't it? Because will Manchester United accept that? Because he's got a year left.
They may not have any options.
I know. Does this come down to the end of August, Jeff? End of the transfer window? And maybe it has to be because I just don't see him playing for Manchester United again. One, Manchester United, the players that they've brought in, he doesn't fit into that team. And also, as a player, I know it might not be much to a lot of people, but he's lost his number. Cunha took his number. I don't think he's going to come back and be like, okay, I'll wear this number now and I'll be a bit part player. I think Marcus Rashford and Manchester United's relationship is done.
Sport.